We walk into your house, I'll talk like this. We walk into my house, I talk like this. We go to the skate park, and I hype you up. I don't make fun of you at the skate park.
Yeah, you have to, because you're not good. You can't even ollie, bro.
Well, neither can you.
Nah, neither can I.
Episode of the Radiant Black podcast. On this episode, we're going to be discussing Radiant Black issue 6, and fortunately this week, I'm not only joined by my co-host Radiant Matt, but I'm also joined by Dereck and Tevin from the Weekly Pulls. How are you guys doing?
Yo, what's up?
We let Dereck go first here at the Weekly Pulls. Save the best for second. Yeah, how are y'all doing?
It's good, man. I'm excited. Yeah, just post Radiant Black, a little bit shook.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, dude. The post-comic book day hangover.
Wild read.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is last issue was so crazy. We were just talking about like how we got all these characters and the world was just getting so much bigger. And then it was kind of weird to go from that to, focusing on the origin of Radiant Red all of a sudden.
Yeah, and it makes me wonder, are they going to do that for Yellow and Pink as well? Are we going to get a few issues of their backstory, or are we just focusing on Red?
Yes, dude, because I need to see the old guy. Was he the yellow one?
Yeah.
Yes, I need to see this old ass boomer. Like I envision him working at like a gas station selling cigarettes.
Oh, absolutely. he pulled out a pack of Camels, and there it was.
Yeah, there it was.
He found the black hole. So yeah, I'm definitely wondering, where are they going to go from here? Because it's just open.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is that it looks like we're getting covers of Space and stuff.
Yeah. So it'd be weird to have a cover for Space, and then we start talking about that old dude and his camels.
Have you guys seen the new solicitations came out? Have you seen the cover for issue 9?
Yeah, it looks fantastic.
Dude, yeah, because it's like it's Marshall walking with Nathan, and I think my prediction is gonna come true.
Is like the Firestorm voice kind of thing?
Yeah, I think like Marshall or Nathan is going to be like the little angel on Marshall's shoulder telling him like what to do because he's in a coma, but I feel like they're going to be connected mentally through the suit.
Yeah, I feel like that's a safe bet.
And I think that's really cool.
He's going to be that grounder for him too, really guide him morally because I don't know where this guy's at morally because he's done some rough stuff, and then he's gonna have that journey to being, who he has to be, and I think that's gonna be part of it.
Yeah, I think he can be Nathan can be to Marshall what Owen is to Satomi, where she can kind of like balance Owen out because Owen without Satomi, who knows? He'd be living on the streets, like who knows? So
absolutely.
I think Owen would probably be dead.
Yeah, I don't even know if he'd make it to the street.
He's gonna find a horse in his bed, dude. A horse's head.
He's trending that way for sure. So luckily he's got Satomi. But yeah, let's dive into this issue. I thought this was like a really cool kind of like intimate issue where we really learned about Satomi and her family and like why she went down the path that we saw her at the end of the first issue.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love the idea of this issue because initially we see her as just a bad guy. And this gives you that twist on her to see her as like maybe she's not all that bad. She's just out here trying to make it.
Yeah, she's got a deadbeat husband, bro, or should be husband.
Fiance. I think they're engaged.
Yeah, their finances.
Yeah.
I mean, just like a few weeks ago, we were talking about how Radiant Red went from just being all like buff to having boobs, and then we're talking from that to having just like a whole origin story. Do you guys remember like that conversation? Like we don't remember seeing boobs in like issue 4, and then in issue 5 at the end it just suddenly appears.
I literally
Yeah.
went back through issues, like all 4 of the issues, to look at Radiant Red. Like, where are the tits?
Derek's mind was blown. He's texting me as he was doing this. He was like, "This, they tricked us." And I was like, "Buddy, you're crazy. I don't know what you're talking about." I didn't go back and reread these issues. And he dives in, and he was blowing me up after he was reading those back issues.
Yeah, and I'm glad they explained that here. So, interesting, we get Higgins and Chaz Chen co-writing this issue, and for the first time, or I guess the second time, we have a new artistic team. We got Darko La Fuente with Miquel Muerto doing art and colors. And it's interesting because I feel like personally, and I'm saying this as someone who enjoyed the art on this issue, but I feel like it's going to really make us appreciate Costa's artwork again once we get him back, because we haven't seen him really like for a while, not including the last 4 pages of issue 5. So it's interesting.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like this issue, the art style fit perfect for the tone, because I feel like Marcelo, he's just like so over the top. Like, we look at issues 1 through 4, and it's just like in your face, like, this is amazing. And then this issue 6 felt like, dropping it down in the 2nd gear instead of 6th. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, like we start with the first few pages and it just looks super wholesome. There's so much color and life in the pages, and we see that Tommy's just having dinner with the family,
Yeah. And then they start reminiscing about their life, and they start talking about being engaged and trying to plan for a wedding. And it's just that tone. The art just fits that tone. It just felt slow and right, honestly, for that scenario.
It's not just a new artist on it. We have Cherish Chen co-writing the issue too, which adds a different kind of style to it, which I enjoyed.
Absolutely.
It's weird because you're kind of expecting this dark origin, and you look at the cover and it looks so serious. Every issue we've gotten so far, Radiant Red's like such an edgelord, just showing up, talking shit, beating Nathan up, beating Marshall up, just like straight up edgelord. And then here we look at it's like this sweet, gentle woman who seems to be like super caring and seems to radiate positivity. It's such a departure tone from the other issues. So yeah, I agree. It really sets it up well.
It is a twist now that you mention it. Looking at the cover, it might be she's hiding her lacks that she doesn't have behind the suit. So she's acting tougher because she has the suit.
Yeah, yeah, totally. And I feel like we'll go into that more later. There's those scenes where she looks into like the window of the car and she's not wearing the helmet, but then she sees the helmet. It's kind of like there's 2 different people kind of later on.
It was very much original Raimi Spider-Man Green Goblin vibe.
I could just see William Dafoe and I'll just come out of a mirror or something. But we see that we get a sense of their relationship, not only her and her fiance Owen, but her and her family, and it's like it's all cheerful. It's completely different than what you're used to. It's almost like the fake setup with Nathan and his family, when his family, like his mom's all excited and his dad's like, extra raisins for you, son. And here they're just like, we knew you were gonna get engaged to Owen, and then they just keep talking about that. So that's interesting to see.
Yeah, and it takes me back to whenever he mentions that she hurt Nathan in the fight, and the building collapsed, and then she's like crying behind the suit. Like, it really shows her humanity here, and we see that in this issue, that she is just a genuinely good person in a rough situation.
I want to see what she's capable of, dude.
Yeah, like she got caught up in Owen's baggage, you know what I mean? And then I feel like her crying at that moment is kind of symbolic of her getting into a position where she doesn't really want to do things she has to do. Kind of like the bank, right? Like, she doesn't want to steal the money.
It's like Breaking Bad, right? You're like, all right, just this one thing, and then my family's going to be set up. But then it spirals into more, and you're just like, all right, just deal with the bank, and we're done. And then you have another Radiant flying at you. You're like, just get out of here. It's like a fly. It's like, get out of here. I need to fix my issues. And then she accidentally kills him a few issues later. So it's such a mess, and you feel so bad for Satomi because none of this is really like direct. I mean, she's involved, but she didn't intend for any of this to happen.
Right.
No,
she it's a snowball effect for her.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like she's talking about like, look, like they're telling her, you seem tired, honey. And she says it's been a lot lately. The wedding, end of the year stuff with the kids, finishing the grad school applications. I'm just a little burnt out. So it seems like she's pretty young too.
Yeah.
Oh, and I definitely did fix my audio. It's pretty embarrassing, but it turns out when you plug in an Xbox controller instead of your mic into the laptop, it might make things really fucking difficult. So no, yeah. So anyways, I think we're good. So if there was echoing at the beginning, guys, it should be good now. But yeah. So yeah, Red, I found this issue really paralleled a lot of Nathan's his origins, right? Because we even get to see like the balance of zero and the bank account, that depressing look. Granted, this one was not even her fault really. So yeah, I really enjoyed how it paralleled Nathan's story.
It was like predictable at that moment, because it was just like, that motherfucker has emptied that bank account. Like, know he did it. That's why he did not want her to do it.
Yeah, the second he said, "Don't look at that account," I was, "You're no,
son of a bitch, it's already gone."
Yeah, it's over.
Yeah, and it's interesting. It's so realistic, in the house, you have these scenes where there's like a lot of white background, a lot of like colorfulness, but immediately when they get into the car, it's suddenly like a darker background. You see more stress lines in Owen's face. You see her like eyebrows kind of go into like a stressful, pose. And you can tell that immediately once they leave the house, it's tense because it's kind of seems like they're pretending in there. You know what I mean? They're putting on this like facade.
Yep.
Yeah, honestly.
Playing that happy-go-lucky front. Absolutely.
And I love how they reached out and then they held hands.
Yep.
But before that, I like how they go, "Thanks for signing my name on the Christmas card. I didn't get around to it." So it shows that Owen is writing her signature, and he knows how to replicate her signature for the bank thing later. So I thought that's
look
nice.
at you picking out the foreshadowing.
Yeah, that's
detective.
good.
Yeah,
man. Yeah. Oh, Owen's like just the whole setup. And one thing I noticed is that she seems to be the kind of person who like, I don't know, at least the vibes I'm getting from her and her family, she's like the kind of person that pulls people in together. So maybe this is kind of set up for that kind of redemption arc later on with the team. Who knows, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because I hope they become like some kind of team, right?
Yeah. People are already shipping like her and Marshall. So, I mean, better than Owen. I'll say that much.
Yeah, I was gonna say Marshall kind of mimics Owen a little bit with just that, that bad attitude that they both have. But I mean, Marshall's a better, well-rounded guy. I assume that Owen has a gambling problem, is what I assume it is. But I don't know. That's what I pick up.
Like, who do you want to marry? The fucking gambling addict or the dude that works at your local Blockbuster?
That's right.
And also,
hooked you up with VHS tapes.
He's got the school of business. She's a teacher. I mean, this couple could really work.
Yeah.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like, here's your Nat Geo VHS, honey. See you at home.
Another bit of foreshadowing is when Satomi's talking to her mom. She's talking about her being a teacher, and Satomi's mom says, "And Satomi never gives up on the ones who need her the most," which is, I mean, with Owen, she hasn't given up on him yet.
Yeah.
I wonder if we'll see that. I wonder if like we are, like you said, like gonna get like a Breaking Bad where it's like, is she gonna keep making bad decisions that's gonna lead to more? Like, is she gonna be willing to like leave Owen and just like say fuck it? Like, I don't know. I think Satomi's capable of more than what they're showing us.
Yeah, Owen could be a wake up call too. Not Owen, but Nathan's death could be a wake up call, because like that's death. It's like, okay, this is serious. If I keep messing around, I got this guy killed.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we see that she sees, once they get back home, she sees that Owen's still doing shady shit because there's some dude waiting outside, and they're talking to each other, and she's inside. She's just watching them, kind of suspicious. And once she comes back in, she immediately, like, it's not only tense, but there isn't like any conversation. She immediately starts accusing him. She's like, "When did you start again?" So you could tell that there's a real problem with Owen. Like, this is like a history.
Yeah, this wasn't the
Absolutely.
first time some dude showed up on their porch.
Yeah, throw it back to the Breaking Bad reference. He's not the one who knocks. Wow, Walter White is. So I really don't see Oliver doing much. He just seems like he's afraid of people and doesn't want to confront stuff. He wants to keep pushing it under the rug.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and then until the problem gets too big to ignore. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, and a shout out to Darko Lafuente, the artist, because on Twitter he said that it was his idea to, in this panel, be reading Nice House on the Lake, which I always love. We as comic book fans, I'm sure we all love when creators do this little, poking fun at each other kind of thing. I personally love it. So I thought that
Oh
was
yeah.
really cool.
Hey,
I totally
that's
love
what we
seeing
need.
them all being homies.
Yeah, we need
Yeah.
camaraderie in the
That's-
comic world.
It's like we're all homies, and then like all the comic creators are homies, and then like someday we're all gonna be homies.
Big homies. That's right.
Yeah, I like that because like that's the
Exactly,
thing that seems to be the case with Radiant Black. It seems like Kyle has a lot of his friends from other titles come in and do like artwork or coloring. Like for example, you look at Ordinary Gods and you see that Michael Basudel is the editor and designer of Radiant Black and Ordinary Gods. And when I think about it, what I've seen from Michael personally, like I don't work with Michael, of course, but what I've seen from him and his work on Radiant Black, I think he does an amazing job. So if I'm Kyle, I'd be thinking like, why wouldn't I want to work with, Michael on another thing when you have such a good working relationship?
That's right.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Shout out Felipe Watanabe on fucking Ordinary Gods too.
Oh yeah, and we're gonna talk about that
Fantastic.
later. Oh yeah, we're gonna talk about Ordinary Gods there because we have to, right? That was insane. Like that Ordinary
What
Gods was
the
insane.
fuck?
Yeah, you read issue 2, right? Like we got the first 2 issues, and like dude,
Yeah,
issue
bro.
2 is even more crazy.
I've held
Issue
off
2
on
is
2,
more
but
crazy, yeah.
I've held off on 2. But
I'm a
you guys
man
are
of the
cool to
people. I'm
talk
gonna wait
about.
till it drops.
Yeah.
I know,
Oh,
like
man.
I low key hate myself for reading it early because now it's like, fuck yeah, I can't wait for it. But it's like, shit, I already know.
You're waiting
Yeah.
like 2 months for issue 3 now. That's gotta hurt.
Yeah, like I pretty much shot myself in the foot. But like, it was totally worth it. And when I had when I got issue 1 and I'm reading the physical, when I got to the end, I was like, wait, there was more. And I was like, oh fuck, I read 2 issues.
Yeah.
Yeah. And man, it was insane. It just starts out like it's a John Wick's like movie, like straight up, like it's insane. Like it just
Yeah.
picks up running, Oh
Yeah,
my
and the
god.
Like
story
my
at the end
favorite
was really
panel,
cool,
like
too.
the Asian dude when he got his brains blown out. Like, yes,
Yeah, dude.
I live for that. His eyeballs just like floating off in fucking
That was
space.
insane. Yeah. Oh my god. We'll get into that later because I really want to get into it later. But
Oh, he does too.
Spoilers.
So-
There's John Wick stuff in it. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
we'll talk about everything. Yeah. So yeah, we see that in this, the panel where she's reading Nice House on the Lake, she's kind of radiating. It's almost like foreshadowing. She's radiating red already. I know because she doesn't have the power at this point, but it's like she's so fucking pissed. She's almost like glowing, and he's just like justifying himself. A few months ago it was a card game, blah, blah, blah. Whatever, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, your card game is why we're broke. I don't care if it's Magic the Gathering or poker. We're screwed right now, man. Like God. So yeah.
Quit making excuses and quit spending all of our money.
That's right.
And teachers, infamously, they're not paid as much as they should be, right? So it's hard enough without your money getting funneled off for stupid card games. It's brutal.
That's right. She
Right?
had
She's
to
out here
save
buying
for a
crayons
long.
and shit, and he's out here betting the house.
That's right. Put
Yeah,
it all on
good.
red is what he's saying. She's trying to buy red.
Anyway, but yeah, he's just I'll keep going. When we get to the part, I'll say because I don't want to like spoil it. But yeah, he's just trying to justify himself, and then Satomi is just smart. She doesn't take no shit. She's just like, why was this guy in the driveway if you're not doing this? And he's just like, oh, I'm sorry, blah blah, whatever, man.
This
Yeah,
could totally lead, like maybe Satomi could totally be like, since she's like already that they've set the tone that she can like pick things up like that with Owen, maybe she can be like a super rad like detective.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
man, she's smart as fuck. Like that scene in issue like 3 or 4, I think it's 4, where she shows up to the bar and straight up tells Nathan, "I know who you are" and everything. I'm like, that was impressive, man. Like straight up, like she
Yeah.
showed up and just told him everything. I know who you are. I know where you live. I know where you work. Don't fuck with me. And I was just like, damn, like that's a statement right there. Like what is he gonna do?
Because she wants it to be over. She doesn't want this to escalate. It's like, leave me alone. I'm
Right.
just getting money, and once I'm good, I'm going back to my normal life.
Right.
It's almost kind of like in like Spider-Man: Homecoming when Vulture's like, "Leave me
Yeah.
alone," and Peter's
Yeah.
like, "No, you're bad."
Yeah.
Okay, I'll just date your daughter as my
Yeah,
other persona.
it's like it's so much worse when you're like dating his daughter. He's just like sitting in the bag. You know what I mean? It's like this little shit is like with my daughter anyway. You know what I mean? Like, of course, it's like he gets the double whammy there. But yeah, we see that she's asking him how bad is this, and I like that. I like that Satomi doesn't fuck around. She goes like straight to the point. She's just like she deals with things. So, here she is trying to handle the situation, and she asks him all the logical questions, like, what if you can't handle this? What happens, to the house, blah, blah. And she's like, the bank is, Owen tells her that the bank is here to collect. And this is like the first huge red flag. I mean, beyond the actual addiction, because like, you know, addiction's obviously like it's also sickness, right? Some people, they can't control it. So like in that case, I'm not gonna wholeheartedly blame Owen, but this is where I get to really be like, no, you're a slimy piece of shit. And he's just like, maybe your parents, like, bro, like what the fuck, man? No.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was like ready to take their 401ks, their Roth IRAs. Like, this man is ready.
Like, they just fed you. You still have their food in your belly. Their wholesome meal of the first page. Look at all that food they made you. And then he's just telling you, maybe your parent. Like, come on, man.
Yeah.
Like, all this man can think about is the fucking craps table.
You know what he needs to do?
Right.
Ship him off to Nathan's parents' house and have him eat oatmeal every day.
Yes,
that's right.
Have Mr. Burnett sort him, you know?
Yeah.
And
earn those
to get a real job.
That's
drive
it.
around. Yep. Driver app or whatever it is. But yeah, no, so Satomi actually responds like very well to that question. She's saying they're about to retire. We can't ask them for that. You know, like she's like, and this is where you really even more get a sense of her character. Like, she's such an amazing human being that she just genuinely wants to help people. She's just like, we can use my grad school money. Like, literally putting aside her entire future for the person she loves, which is like a huge gesture, like the biggest gesture possible in this moment. And I'm glad Owen doesn't take advantage of that in the moment. Like, I guess like he lies to her, but he tells her that he's not going to, even though he does. So really, he's a piece of shit. But yeah. And he looks like Mr. Potato Head here. His face is just completely like plain in this panel, like straight up. He looks like a mannequin, dude. So yeah.
And now both members of this relationship have to redeem themselves in the eyes of the reader, though. Like, Owen can really only go up from here. I don't want to see even go lower. And Satomi, you know, we know she's great, but she still really does have to make up for like Nathan's death and taking down that building and stuff like that. And we know she is a good person and didn't mean to. So there is still a lot of redemption for both of these characters.
Yo,
leaves up
what if Owen became a Radiant?
Fuck that, man.
What
if he's Glitch Guy?
Yeah, what if he's a dude at the end of issue 5 with the fucking sword?
And he's addicted to the power.
Debts. Yeah, he's addicted to. He wants to play with the ultimate dice, the Radiance.
That's right.
The man wants to jiggle some black holes. Yeah. I mean, anything's possible in this series. Like, you never know.
I know.
And, you know, it might set her up really to be the leader of this crew, because, you know, as I'm reading these, I'm really trying to figure out who's going to be the main protagonist, and it's probably just going to be the whole squad. But
what if she like eats him? Man, did you guys like? I do know, seriously. I've been reading. I read Star Wars: Jabba the Hutt, the War of the Bounty Hunters, the tie-in, and like, spoiler, there's this new character like Deva LaPomp or some shit. She's some assassin, and she literally like the Jabba hires her for a bounty, and she's like, she makes a joke about how like she eats all her ex-boyfriends because like he tells her that the bounty is one of her exes. So she gets there and she pretends to rescue the ex, and at one point she's just like, where did this person go? You know, getting some info, and he's like, here, and then she fucking eats him. She eats him. She literally eats her boyfriend, and I was like, this is some really layered shit here, because like. What's this, like, what's the author trying to say with this? Because I was like,
did she ask him, do you want to come over for dinner? And then
she just fucking eats him. She literally just like devours him on the spot. And I'm like, what the fuck? And then she takes the head back and she's like, I couldn't eat the head, it was too horny. I was like,
so not a praying man. Not a praying man.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's some real praying man shit.
I think that's where they start with the head, though. So, you know, they're really switching it up on.
So what if Satomi straight up eats Owen, just like devours him?
I'm in.
What do you think?
I hope like she just transforms into the big ass fucking robot and just
She just straight up like dissolves him into her skin or some shit. You know, where's I don't even know, dude. She has some freakish powers. Like, man, when Marshall punches her and she just starts like absorbing his skin, kind of like anti-venom with venom. Like, I was just like, shit. Like that looks insane. You know?
Oh yeah.
Dude, when she emerged
what are the limits?
from fucking the lake from under the ice and that giant fucking robot, I fucking hollered.
Yeah, I know. Oh my god.
All
like
about
Hulk Buster style.
Yeah.
Yes. I said, what in the ass?
Have you guys seen the third print, the variant with the Hulk Buster?
I have not.
The Conquest homage? Yeah.
No, the Hulk Buster one.
The new one.
Yeah, the new one, the radiant red one. Yeah, it's pretty insane. Yeah.
I'm gonna look
so wait,
now.
I've kind of got a theory here. Like, maybe if she can change matter and stuff like that and make the Hulkbuster armor, maybe if they make the mech, it'll just be red all over with different colors popping through if they all like unite as a team. You
Yeah,
never know.
That would be
I
cool.
still think kind of like Power Rangers. They can all combine powers. I'm
I was gonna
convinced they
say
can do that. Yeah.
throws
It's
in
only a
like
matter
the
of time.
Power Ranger idea.
Yeah.
So
Like
wait, who was
Marshall gets cape mode. Huh?
who was the leader of the Power Rangers? You know, I never really watched it very much. Was it the red one? That was the leader of the Power
I'm
Pretty
Rangers?
sure it's red.
I think so. Yeah. I don't remember because I was like
At least in
3.
regular
Dude, it was
incarnation.
totally the red. I'm not a big Power Rangers guy, but I can vouch. Totally red.
So maybe that really
Yeah.
like if they're following that kind of idea, then maybe she will be the leader just based off of that. I mean, just my thought on it. That's what I was thinking whenever I remembered some of the Power Ranger influences there.
And
True.
if we do get AR Marshall, maybe that'll help with the path of forgiveness. If Nathan's like, well, I mean, she didn't know. She's a good person. You can clearly tell. And at least part of me is still here. So it kind of lessens the blow of losing your best friend.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm loathing the moment if and when Nathan dies completely.
True.
Like,
But what if Marshall, like, you know how he says, I wanted, like, remember when Nathan asks him, like, what would you do with the power? And he's like, I thought about, like, stealing money or something like that. Like, he's like, that's probably one of the first things I do. What if he says that to kind of foreshadow him being able to relate to Satomi later on because she actually did steal money? Do you know what I mean?
yeah, I honestly hope
I
that
can
we
see
get
that.
that dynamic between them.
Yeah.
I
Yeah, because
hope
they
like
hate each
Marshall
other's
and
deep
guts
dive.
right now.
Yeah. I
Deep
don't
dives
even want
really
them
makes
to
me
be
think.
like romantic. I just want them to be homies.
Oh, yeah.
They're like polar opposites, right? Where she's like the good person that did bad things. He's the guy who has kind of shadier intentions but hasn't done that yet.
Right.
But he was always uplifting to Nathan, though. He was always encouraging him.
Yeah, Marshall's that asshole in school that sat in the back and made fart noises in his arm.
But was really, really good support to to his homies, his close homies.
Yeah.
Can I just take a moment? Can we just like love the cape?
Oh,
Like,
course.
like
Yeah.
cape mode?
Dude,
course.
cape
Oh, yeah.
mode, bro. What the
Oh,
fuck?
Dude, cape mode's like one of the best things about this. Like, it's just straight up Radiant Black turns into like Doctor Strange halfway through. You know?
Yes.
Like, it's the best thing ever. Like, I love
Like,
it.
I
And it
never
glows. Like, the
expected
inside
him.
glows. Like, that's
Yes.
that's what makes it like double the awesomeness. Which, like, I always forget, the inside literally glows.
Like, I never expected this character to have a fucking cape, and then it was like, here it is. Yes, give me more.
and it wouldn't get in the way if it's part of the suit either.
Right.
What do we like? We know like they have those are like their supers or whatever. But what do like Radiant Yellow and Pink do? Right? Because we know like we kind of have an idea what their powers are, but I wonder what their like super mode can do.
Well,
I
if we're
haven't
gonna
seen anything from Yellow, but Pink teleports. What does Yellow do? Have we seen
He
anything?
does
from
something
Yellow?
with the light spectrum. That's what he says.
if we're gonna
Oh,
foreshadow
okay.
based off of what I said about Radiant Yellow selling cigarettes, I bet he can sell cigarettes to minors.
Whoa.
He can just make e-cigarettes out of his hands. He can just
Yeah, he's like, you guys want regular or vape?
He's out here. His superpower is Jules.
What if his suit is just one big jewel? And then the
You
kids
never
can
know.
take hits off of him.
Right. And he throws out
You never
Keystone
know.
lights everywhere.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
we come back to Satomi at home. She's sleeping. But sorry, she's not sleeping. Owen's asleep, obviously. He's fully asleep, knowing he's gonna steal the money the next day. Man's resting, no problem. But yeah, Satomi's there, just struggling, and you can tell she can't go to bed. She's staying up all night, and we see that she goes to her office. She's just trying to find any answers, but she doesn't. She has no idea what she's really looking for. And then she goes outside, and this is one of my favorite pages of the whole issue. It's beautiful artwork. The colors are spectacular. We see like something in the sky, and I'm assuming it's the Radiant Black power in the first panel, and then in the next panel we see 3 other colors. They all just collide, and I'm sure people, because we've already had people on the Discord like extensively discussing what they think this is. Like, people are all over the place with what they think this is. I have no idea, but all I'm gonna say is that it's interesting to see that. First thing I said to Matt after reading this issue was it's interesting to see that it's the blue or the radiant, because we know that the Radiant Black glows blue. So it's interesting to see Radiant Black collision is what leads to the other ones separating. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
And if you look at the trajectory of Red, like, it looks like it's literally just going towards Satomi. Like, it takes a big dive down towards her. Like, it's not like it's charting like a natural path.
Right. There's intention there.
Yeah. and hers, it's like the closest we've seen the Radiance. Like the Radiant Red, like the Radiant Black Radiant, it was like far away. Like they could see it. It was near Nathan, but they had to go out and walk to find it. This one comes colliding right with her.
Yeah, and
That's interesting.
yeah, it's interesting because it seems like it makes you think, like, was it the black that also helped that because it collided with, you know what I mean? Like it's all weird. Like the whole scene is weird.
Like it's the Alpha Radiant that telling them what to do or something like that.
Right.
Yeah, because it's three of them, and then they collide into just the one, and then they all go off in different directions. So what the hell is that?
Like, is this existence or is it just fate?
And I wonder if they
That's
each
the other thing,
have
though.
like their own robot, their own mecha or whatever.
Oh yeah, or just one telling them all what to do. It's interesting.
Yeah, because like we've only seen the Radiant Black mecha robot, whatever we're gonna call it. We've only seen the robot for Radiant Black, but how do we know that she doesn't have a robot that she talks to in existence or whatever?
Right.
Or
Yeah, that's a really good point too. I'm curious, like, what she's talking to with, you know what I mean? I guess
Yeah.
within the suit, like how Nathan and Marshall have been.
Are they hive minds or just individual? That's
Right.
And,
And
is
the
it a
sync
collective
process
of
would
all
take
of them?
longer.
Are all
Yeah.
of these radiant alien things homies? Like,
And do
are
they
they
retain
communicating with each other to
Yeah.
get the humans to do what the fuck they need to do? Like, I don't know.
yeah,
And do
it's
they
true.
retain the memories of like past people who've worn the suit? Like this is stuff that I don't have the answer to yet. That I'm interested in. I
Oh
want to
shit!
know.
Ordinary Gods crossover with Radiant Black already?
Holy fuck!
It's just like Radiant Ordinary Gods, you know? That was him flying towards Satomi.
Radiant Yellow could be an older Chris that's been through all this shit. You never know.
You don't know.
Whoa.
Damn.
But
On
yeah,
the previous page, I did
this
want to
is-
mention they show it shows Owen's business. It says Owen Fujimoto. That's where she went to go and do some research. So this is Owen Fujimoto Co. Limited. So I don't know if he works construction or not. I don't know what his day job is.
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought, to me, just from what they did give us, it looks like construction,
Right.
but I don't know. I guess it kind of goes hand in hand. I feel like if your fiance works in construction, he probably has a gambling problem.
You never know.
Well, he was talking.
It almost
about,
is gambling though, because it's seasonal work. You're gambling that you're going to work a lot, really well, and have good contracts in the summer, and then things fall off in the winter. So you never know.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
He said that he was filling an order for what was he filling an order for? It was like 5,000 something that he was filling an order for. So
Yeah, I remember you saying that.
is that construction work? I don't remember. It's off the top.
Yeah.
And do you guys think that's legit? It could just be him trying to convince Satomi, no, things are fine. I got a big contract coming through, but there could be no contract. He could just be trying to.
Yeah, that's a very good
forward.
point.
Exactly.
That could definitely be an attic lie.
Yep.
Yeah, he's been lying like crazy. That wouldn't be too far fetched.
And what if
Very
he's
good
deeper
point.
into this and this construction is just a front?
Well, yeah, plot twist.
And he's
there is no
laundering.
construction company. He just has this trailer somewhere.
he says 5,000
What if-
square feet for those condos in Pilsen. That's what he said.
Ah.
So there's condos.
So I'd say construction, yeah. But again, it could just be
What
a
I'm worried
front for his underground gambling and stuff.
True.
True. No, that's a good point. What I'm worried about is Satomi's parents going the way of the Flying Graysons if he gets too in touch with the mob there. That wouldn't be good.
That's right.
Yeah.
Too much at stake. But yeah, we get these awesome pages when she finally gets the power. Gorgeous. I think the coloring is obviously artwork and coloring is exceptional, but really shines on these pages. We see that it's interesting because I'm willing to bet maybe there is a being, because right as in the middle of that page where she's equipping the Radiant Red for the first time, you see like the text pop up in the middle of the screen. So I'm assuming that's the sync process completing.
Right.
Or beginning, right? Because it does take a long time the first time it sees a human, and we assume that all four of those, the yellow, pink, and blue and red Radiants, haven't seen a human yet, presumably.
Yeah, and then she gets an insight into her powers for the first time, where her boot just like metamorphosizes for a second, and yeah, there's a lot of like reflection in this, like literal reflection in this comic, this issue specifically, where she looks at her her reflection in the water or in a window or whatever. So that's interesting. I think there's a lot of like a sense of identity shift, I guess, in this issue.
Good call.
I agree with you. Yeah, it's following her. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, she keeps even when she's looking at she's driving to the bank, she's looking through the rear view mirror. She sees her own reflection in her eyes, and then there's this one really cool panel where it's like half her eye and half the radiant eye, kind of like
Yep.
Marshall in that last.
Yeah,
That's
I
my
really
favorite
like
in the
that.
issue.
Yeah, and it's just she starts talking to herself, and this is the point where I'm wondering if she's talking to herself as in like her subconscious, or she's talking to the radiant being, because
Absolutely.
it could be either one.
Yeah. Same here.
But
That's
yeah.
what I
Now-
thought. I was wondering, she's probably talking. If I'm going to be frank, I think she's talking to the Radiant, figuring this stuff out.
Yeah,
Because she's inquisitive and she dives deep into this.
Yeah, now she's been talking to herself before the radiant hit, and now she actually has someone, a spirit living inside of her that she is talking to, whether she knows it or not. So either way, she's talking to the radiant if she's aware of it or not.
But yeah.
God, I wish I had somebody in my head to talk to.
Hey, I mean, Nathan could be living in Owen's and Marshall's head pretty soon too, so there could be a lot of that going on.
Yes, I really hope we get that. I hope Marshall gets to at least, even if it's just one.
He'll be the
issue.
Obi-Wan.
Yeah, that's what I want.
Yeah.
Nathan to be Obi-Wan. But even if it's just one issue and Marshall gets to say goodbye and cry a little bit, like you might not see me for like 3 days.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the next panel we get, Satomi's inevitable visit to the bank, and you could tell that in her line of argument and her in her words to the bank employee, you could tell she's thought this through, and that she's very collective. Like a minute.
I like that MK are red and blue, and those are the two colors that have a conflict over the bank and like robbing there with the radiant black and red.
Yeah, okay, that's a good point. So, yeah, you see this guy is like, sure, yeah, he's only like half.
Can you say that again? You lagged out quite a bit.
Yeah.
I was saying, he says like her cause is admirable, and her husband's financial history is a cause for concern, and she says like, why does that matter? Because it's my account, I'm not talking about his account. And then she's like, oh, this account, and then he's like the most annoying smile on his face, like, I would have smacked him just for that. But he shows her that is that her account has been cleaned, it's been cleaned empty. And this is like obviously a shock moment for her, but it's also pretty cool because we discovered that her last name is Sone or Son.
Yeah, they say that earlier when Lloyd's coming over to talk to Owen. She says, "Sorry, Miss Sone, but I have to talk to Owen." But yeah, that's where it's like it's reiterated here while the smiling douchebag is like telling this woman that she's screwed, basically. Like, oh, this guy's the worst.
I hated that bank teller. The second I saw his face, I was like, I'm just gonna skip through this because I don't like him. He is just. I hated his face. I really did.
Yeah, he does have that face.
He has a very, very punchable face.
True. And we get this gorgeous panel. Satomi in shock, and she looks at that signature, and it's just like you can almost feel the music like elevate in this moment, because it's gone from like, oh shit, to like shit's going down. Like, it's happening. And we cut to the next panel, and they're going back home. He walks in all like, hey honey, and she's just like, where's the money, Owen? And I like that about Satomi. She just really doesn't fuck around. It's always straight to the point.
Yes.
And she starts yelling at him.
Bash, your audio is like weird. It's just saying that for an edit. It sounds kind of laggy or like disconnected, or like it's muffled a bit.
Yeah, it kind of sounds like you're like stepping back from the mic, and like the further you step back, the quieter you get. I'm not sure.
It might be on the. Oh, it's on the wrong mic. Is it better now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it was on the wrong mic. Okay. Yeah, she just says that like she just starts yelling at him, telling him that he needs to tell her the whole truth. And this is where it's like really gross, because the second red flag, he tries to justify it again by saying it never seemed like she was going to go to grad school, so he thought he could use it and then fill it real quick. And then he says that even though he took her money, it's not enough. And he says this is where like he becomes like, he just really becomes gross, and he's just like, you were never supposed to look at this account. I never asked you to fix this. Why did you have to get involved?
You weren't going to go to grad school.
Right.
Yeah, he's like
making
deflecting.
her the bad guy.
Yeah, it's super like
He's
weak.
gaslighting her right now. That's what he's
Super
doing.
fucking gaslight. You could have
Yep.
lit a match and the whole book would have burned up.
It's
Yeah.
true.
You couldn't have yellow cell cigarettes there; they'd be screwed.
Yeah.
Yes.
Really
She
shows
looks
his
like
scumbag.
in that panel. Yeah, on that page where she's yelling and says, "Is that why you told me you didn't want to use it before?" She kind of looks like I think Emily, like the main character from Strange Academy. She looks like just like her, or at least the teeth are similar, where there's like no lines in between, that kind of stuff. Just kind of
Oh
looks like.
yeah.
But yeah,
it's
no,
true.
this was brutal. This is where Owen, like, it's like, okay, maybe this guy's just got addiction. This is where he's like a total asshole. It's like, we know he took the money, and now he's like, you weren't even going to use this money that I stole from you.
And he's
Yeah.
not just gaslighting her. He's like, she's, she tells him that she wanted to help, and he was like, you don't have any idea how any of these things work. You're just a
Yeah.
teacher. You've never dealt with anything serious. You should have let me handle it. Do you know how embarrassing this is? And he's like, you ruined this, blah, blah, blah. And then she punches the wall, and, it, breaks, breaks a little bit. And that's where he's like, what the fuck? Because he notices for the first time that she's got superpowers, and she just says that, you messed up. You're the reason we're in this situation. I'm gonna, she's like, I can't do it anymore, and he leaves. But she leaves, sorry. But he ends up being a little bitch, and then realizing that he's the one who messed up, and he begs her not to give up on him, and she hugs him, and this is where things get interesting. She hugs him, and we assume like that the situation, it's diffused, but instead she's just like, nah, I'm gonna go handle this again.
Takes charge. That's what a leader does.
I just thought of a meme, like that face when she's punching the wall. It's like when you find out your girlfriend has rage mechanics there or whatever. Like she looks like she would just wreck them.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
she literally
Yeah,
like
no,
took the form of a Kyle for like 10 seconds. Just give that girl a can of Monster and a
That's right.
backwards hat, and she's set.
Yeah, no, she drives over to, and this was an important page. We talked about this page on Twitter a little bit because I could understand how some people could get confused here, but yeah, she drives somewhere and she looks, she parks her car. She looks into the window, and this is confusing. It doesn't, can't tell if it's the window near her or not, but she looks at the window and she sees the reflection of her in the armor back, even though she's not in the armor.
Yeah.
And then she decides to punch a hole into the window. I'm assuming here it's because she's frustrated. But in the next panel, we see her at a junkyard, and she's juicing up using the engines as a disguise before she goes into the bank, which is very clever because, we talked about this earlier in the episode, and we talked about this in other episodes. We were all confused about how it went from being someone who looked like a man to a woman. So in this panel, in this page, everything is explained.
Agreed.
Yeah, it's a good disguise. Also, I like how the cycle continues because like that window gets punched out. Who knows? That person could be struggling to pay their bills now. Their window's punched out and they're screwed. They can get a radiant drop on them, and then they're coming after Satomi.
That's right.
It's true.
Satomi is the queen of the domino effect in this series.
It's true.
Yeah.
She
Yeah.
sets everything in motion.
She's the butterfly effect.
Oh, never
She's-
trust
she's
the butterfly.
Ashton
What's this
Kutcher.
design? Yeah.
Yeah. And then, we get a very almost mirror panel of, we look at issue 1, and the very last panel of issue 1 of Radiant Black was Radiant Red walking out of the bank with in costume with the 2 bags of money in hand. And here we almost get the same exact thing, but
Yep.
like the after effect where she's already out of costume. And it's really cool because we see her, big arms and big hands, giant hands and everything, holding the bags of money. And obviously Owen didn't do shit, but she said, it's handled now. So
Yep.
Yeah, so
Damn.
now I'm like
That's
curious.
very
Like I
powerful.
want to know, like, did she actually, like, because it? Hold on, I'm losing my train of thought. Doesn't Nathan get the money back from her?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's
Yep,
what
we
I
talked
thought.
about that. Yeah, because I was like, Nathan in in issue 3 manages to get the money back, like when they fight. So how is it that she
Are
has
they
the
different?
money? It's
Are
a
they
different
different
bank.
duffel
She was
bags?
probably paying it off, right?
Yeah,
She was
it's a
driving to
different
pay
bank.
someone, and then Nathan.
Yeah. I think it's a different bank.
Oh.
I think it has to be she robbed more than one bank, no?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm thinking too.
Well, they had
Yeah.
some cuts of like a news segment covering it. And then, so yeah, I would say that he missed her the first couple of times and she managed to bring home the cash. And now he took
Yep.
a different duffel bag.
Yep, 100%. And at the end of this issue, we go down to the letters page and we see that this time it wasn't, it was just one letter, but Michael put a lot of effort into answering this letter, which was really cool. Like, reading into like what the process of getting an issue ready, basically, for the next issue or whatever. But we go down, you get part 2 of the Unleashed, and you go down below that, and you see it's above that. You see the cover for Radiant Black number 7, and Radiant Black number 7. We noticed that the cover they originally showed us just had Marshall on the cover, and it was just white. But we noticed now that they were keeping some things from us, because this cover has Marshall and all the other Radiants.
Yes.
And I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
This is like a poster level awesome.
Fuck
Yep.
yeah, dude.
Yeah, this needs to be a poster where we get the 4 times the Dina Coolo awesomeness, really. I'm really excited for that variant next week. I want to see him do a full issue. I think that'd be amazing.
Yeah.
Retweet.
I want to see. There's so many people I want to see do like Radiant Black, especially like at different points, because I feel like there's a lot to work with. But just looking at the covers for issue number 9, like they look incredible. We got this cover B, and we posted this a few days ago on the Discord. I think you've all seen it. It's the one with it's like Radiant Black is rescuing that little girl, and they're almost like inside this blue like energy ball. And
That's
the
one I got ordered, dude. That shit is
that one's
fucking
amazing.
fire.
Yeah. Cover B by Danilo Bayruth. And
yes.
Oh my god, that's amazing. Like,
bro,
amazing.
Like I saw it on Twitter yesterday, and I was like, fuck, I gotta wait. Come on, previews, get this shit up. Pre-order the fuck out of it.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like, seriously, that's one of the things I think has to be said about this series, is that it has some of the most consistent like cover work in comics right now. A lot of comics usually just do one cover, but these guys, every single variant has been incredible. Like, genuinely top notch.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to rob banks to pay for all these awesome covers now. Like, there's so many good ones, dude. Like, Jesus.
I'm gonna have to tap into my 401k.
Yeah.
My wife is gonna look at me and say, "How come we can't afford avocado at Chipotle?" And I'm gonna say, "Radiant Black."
Radiant Black.
Just tell her you're doing what Nathan did, fall into debt. You're just following the steps, the Nathan Burnett steps to success.
Yes,
But,
maybe someday I'll find a black hole.
As long as you don't get crushed by a building, that's the most important thing.
I'm gonna be on the lookout for that.
Maybe I should quit my job and go work at a video store, and then maybe I can get the power back from you. I don't want you to die.
Yeah, you guys could be like clerks, because they do have that dynamic. They do have like that Dante Randall clerks dynamic.
Fuck yeah, dude.
One thing I want to say is Becca Carey's lettering again is really awesome. When Lloyd's talking outside with Owen, it's a little like blurry, like it's almost like replicating like what it's like to hear the muffled voice from them outside. Like,
yes,
that's so
I did.
clever.
I love that. Yes.
Yep.
So good. Becca Carey's killing it.
Yeah, honestly, everyone on this comic is killing it, and that's the best part. It's like, even when they give us an issue where it's like we have a stand-in artist and colorist for one issue before they switch back. These guys are doing a top-notch job. So yeah, it's not just like a whatever thing. And when they give us little teasers with the nice house on the lake, that's always a bonus. But overall, Radiant Black number 6, pretty good. Everyone agree?
Very solid issue. Loved it.
Really humanizes Stormy.
Yeah.
And
another issue that really benefits from reread.
Yeah, next one's gonna be huge. Like that's the best part, is that we've all been like talking about the first 3 issues were a little bit slow. There wasn't too much action. Then issue 4 and 5 had like a shit ton of action. It was insane. And then issue 6 was a little bit like step backwards. But I've noticed that they do like 1 step backwards and then 2 steps forward. Like, we're gonna get the next 2 issues of just a shit ton of fighting, right? Like, we're gonna see
the pacing is so good.
Yeah, no, you said, I don't know, you said a long time ago, I can't remember if it was on Twitter or not, but you said that reading one of these comics, like a Radiant Black, is like an experience like tripping or like acid. And I agree, because it's so smooth. It's like butter.
Yes.
It's like Fruit Ninja. It's just like, what I mean?
You forget you're reading a comic.
I'm so glad you remembered and watched my videos. You guys are so cool. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, you guys
for sure. And
do you have? I gotta ask. Have you guys read while you listen to the Sam Ewing tracks?
Yeah, I mean,
Mm.
I've done that for the first three, but I haven't done that for the recent ones because they just came out, the other three.
So like I
They
don't know how old y'all are, but like back in the day, there was like this fucking Wild Thornberrys movie that came out, and like they
The
gave you a
Rugrats one?
scratch and yeah, I think so, and they gave you like the scratch and sniff card at the movie theater,
Yeah.
and it was like
Smell
scratch
along with the
this
movie?
at this scene. Yes, and I'm like fuck, like Kyle Higgins, dog, give me a fucking scratch and sniff fucking book plate or some shit. Like I'm dying.
They're
You
so
smell
friggin' innovative
dust.
with this book. I wouldn't put it past them, really. Like they're actually like crazy good at like their social media game is crazy with the kind of stuff that you see on social media, and with this, like it's really cool to see. I wouldn't put scratch and sniff off the table. Really.
Yes, there's so many
that's what
levels to
Michael's
this
working
fucking
on.
book.
Isn't he? That's what Michael's working on.
He's in a
That's why
lab
he's
making
been
the
so
brand.
secretive, eh? He's gonna make all those pages smell like these buttercups, isn't he?
If he wants to know what a black hole smells like, he's just got to go down to his local courthouse and go to the divorce court.
I just want CGC to be like smell scratch and sniff intact 9.8 or whatever. Like, that'd be perfect.
Keep sending that shit to the CGC, dude.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
I think Radiant Red probably smells like cherry Coke.
Oh.
Oh, what does Marshall smell like? Marshall smells like
Movie
Dream.
theater
That's what
butter.
it smells like.
Yeah.
It's Blue Dream, straight up.
No, but I'm loving this book. There's just the stuff we can discuss. Like, there's just the cool kind of elements that are in this. It's just like the conversations are fun, the jokes you can make, the topics, the future. Who knows what we're even gonna get? Like, we still have to see what's going on with Yellow and Pink to really learn about their backstory.
That's
and
right.
that's why next week's gonna be sweet. Because it's like the Avengers now. Now we have like two heroes that could stand on their own, right? Like we talked about Radiant Red maybe getting their own book. Like if Tomi got her own book, that would be pretty sweet. Like Mara mentioned that she was
die.
Yeah, that
You never
would
know.
be that would be like, man, I know, because I know, like, one thing that excites me a lot when it comes to that kind of train of thought is that Kyle did say that, this book is meant for Invincible fans, right? And like he read Invincible during the
The Dark
COVID.
Ages.
Yeah, the Dark Age, exactly, during the Dark Ages, and that it helped also with with this, because in some ways, whatever. But that makes me excited, because when we were reading Invincible, there were a lot of like mini series, or like one shots, like Universe Primer, or like Invincible Universe or whatever. Like, so he could totally do that here with the other characters that are in the book, even if he doesn't want to give them like entire series, right? He could
Like
just
a
do it.
mini series or something.
Yeah, do
Like,
some
look at
one-shots
Something for the
even.
Children. Like, didn't they just announce House of Slaughter? And then
Yes,
that's
it's available for pre-order, y'all.
Exactly. So, and that's not even being written by like Tynan. That's being written by like a completely different writer with different artists. So that like this series does have a lot of potential to do that, because Kyle could just be like, yo, like here's my friend who's another writer, and then he's my other friend who's an artist, and here they could do like the Radiant Yellow miniseries, which is like 3 issues or whatever, right? And that's always something good for us to look forward to.
Like I swear, like I feel like Invincible is like the drop in the puddle for how big things can get, and I feel like Radiant Black is just gonna like fucking like skyrocket. Like I hope I can use these comics to like pay for my daughter's fucking college later, dude. Like
Yeah, in the future.
I'm
I would
so
be able to
excited
let
for
them
all
go.
of this.
You listen to like the music though, like what do you call it, the Sam Ewing tracks, and you
Yeah.
you just listen to the quality, and you're like, dude, if they ever made a movie, like this would be fucking legit. They already have like a tune, and
Good
it's like,
score.
it's like dun 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 dun. That fucking tune is like a perfect like superhero tune for Radiant Black.
Yes.
It's so good. Like they already have a lot of shit that's very like important down, and like you listen to the fight song, it's amazing, and I'm just like, I can already feel it. You know what I mean? Like it already makes sense. It just needs more issues.
Like,
That's the only thing.
The fucking Crisis Couture theme song, like
It
fuck me,
slaps.
dude.
Oh,
Yes.
That's
fuck
me
yeah.
every
I'm gonna
shower.
crash my car to that
Every
shit.
shower. Yeah, no, man. I straight up like he has something amazing here, and this is gonna be the branch off but before I send this there, I'll say he has something amazing here, and I swear the only reason we haven't been like seriously talking about, like, because he's told us, right? He's told us on Discord that he's getting ready to pitch Radiant Black to studios, and like the only catch is that they want to be the people that direct it, and I respect that, because it's his baby.
Absolutely.
It's his baby. Like he wants to be the one to bring it to life, and he should be.
He's the only one I want to do it.
That's
Oh
right.
yeah. And he
Yeah.
has a movie background, right? Like he's a filmmaker background. Like that's what he went to school for. So it's like it makes sense. And I just want to say that when you're like I said, the only thing keeping him from really getting that traction is just more issues, right? Like once we have like 20 issues and people can get like three trade paperbacks to dive into, you're gonna see. And this like we're talking about a series that's selling out every issue, right? Like they just said the fifth issue,
Multiple printings.
third print, yeah, multiple
Everything,
printings, every issue. So we're talking like this comic is selling out. So once we have a lot of depth to it, like there's like 3, 4, like 20, 25 issues worth for people to really dive into it, you're going to see so many more people start to pick this up. And then to branch off, and we talk about the next thing, is when you have other works under your your list or your resume, like Ordinary Gods, like holy shit. like people are just going to want to read your shit because Ordinary Gods is so good.
That's the one that you throw out when you're making a bet with somebody and you're like, well, how about now? And you just slide Ordinary Gods across the table to them and they're like, I'm in. You pick it up and you say, I'm in. I'm riding along with this.
Yeah,
Amazon Prime could do some damage with an Image universe. Like seriously, they make big money.
And it's like you have all these amazing like properties, and like you think about Ordinary Gods, and you're like, wait a minute, like you're telling me that some of these dudes are like possibly like they have the past lives of like tyrants and like other historical figures. Like that's fucking crazy cool idea.
One other thing. What if Bezos comes back with a sequid on his face from space? I mean, who knows what's gonna go down, really?
Oh my god. Oh my god, bro.
Oh my god.
An even bigger and more gruesome penis-shaped rocket. I'll tell you that much.
That's it.
I'll tell you that much. Well, yeah, we're talking about Ordinary Gods, and we'll do a quick. We'll just talk about issue 1 because we don't have to review the whole thing. But overall, just like, how did you feel about this Ordinary Gods? Was it what you were expecting? Was it like even better? What did you think?
I feel like there was a dick in my brain and it was fucking the shit out of it, dude. It was
oh my gosh,
amazing, dude. The whole concept of it, fuck.
No, I agree. Man, like
shout
it
out
starts
Felipe
so
Watanabe, bro. God, man, yes.
It's just the whole thing, the whole build. Like, holy shit, dude. Like, I thought we were gonna go into a book and like learn, like, because I had no idea. Like, Ordinary Gods about like you read the solicit and you're like, okay, maybe it's gonna be like a slow first issue. We're gonna talk about like world building and everything. Instead, it's like nah. Like it starts the fucking like these Yakuza looking motherfuckers are chasing this other motherfucker down, and there's katanas and guns and multiple people just getting shot at everywhere.
Crazy fucking white dude that won't die.
He's just fighting them all on his own. Like, what is going on? Like, that table, how is it still standing? The table still
like that table. That's
my
the table
God.
James Hetfield was talking about.
Yeah, I am the table. Yeah, it's under the gungeon, really. Like, you got to put up that table and so you don't get wrecked. Like, there's so much went down. Like, I love Christopher's a cool character. His sister's really cool. I love it when the protagonist loves comics and is hyped for the next issue and shit too. Like, was it just a book? Was it actually just like a prose novel? Ugh. No,
yeah, something like that.
There's just
Can I
so
just say,
much shit going on. Holy shit.
I really liked the beginning. What's his Chris? I really liked it when he was in therapy too.
Yeah.
I really like those pages. Like yes.
Yeah.
Like I was 22 years old and I lived at home and I fucking hated my life. So like totally got it, dude. Like I feel for you, Chris, but I'm not a fucking god.
It's really something when you can make a character so relatable like that. And you show their you show like a side of them that you normally don't get from any of these comic book characters. Like Nathan having a rough time, that's humanizing him. It makes him relatable, and did
very
the same
Peter
with this
Parker-ish.
one. Yeah, and it was just amazing to see.
It's not fixed in one issue either.
No,
right.
It's like an ongoing thing. I love it.
And it, like my favorite panel, I think. Like, are we allowed to spoil this? Like at all? Like,
I mean, issue 1, it's been out.
Yeah, fuck it, because it's been out for a while.
Yeah,
when fucking it's going like the panel to panel, it's showing them at dinner, and then it's showing like the chimps. And the fucking chips killing each other, and she stabs the fucking mom in the neck. Like, I fucking screamed.
Dude,
like, oh my god, that's your mom!
Oh my god, me too. I freaked the fuck out. I needed to like recover from the issue after that whole like ending because I was like, dude, what the fuck just happened? Like,
right.
Going full Omni-Man on this shit. Like,
yes.
Yeah, for real.
And then she like just looks at Chris and she's like, it's okay. You'll be back in no time. I just stabbed Mom in the neck with a fucking dinner fork.
Yep.
Where's
He
my
couldn't
dessert
even
spoon?
move.
No, I love it. Yeah, Higgins' dialogue, it always hits home. Like, he's got a knack for like making really relatable dialogue and stuff, and then I love it whenever he does it.
Yes, retweet.
Yeah, like even his outburst at the mall when he was taking his sister to get the book she wanted, like that lady comes up to him, and it's a very realistic, like it's like if you see in a situation where like someone comes up at you tries to sell you some bullshit, like that's kind of like a real reaction of someone who's having a shitty day, who's just like, fuck this, like I'm tired,
Right.
I don't want to hear this crap, you know what I
Like,
mean?
it's a life lesson. You don't make eye contact with people at the mall kiosk.
Yeah.
You just don't do it, or you're going to end up being a god, and your sister's going to stab your mom in the neck.
Oh man, but
Yeah,
That-
I feel like
it's just
Black Market.
What?
I think, the Black Market narrative, like, it could be where Skybound is 10 years from now. Like, we could be doing Black Market X with Radiant Black and, and all these characters meeting each other. Like, I love what Higgins is putting out, and, like, I can't wait to see what the next title is, because he could be juggling these two, like, Invincible and The Walking Dead a decade ago, right? Like, you never know.
That's the
man.
comparison that we always talk about, me and Derek.
Speaking
Yeah.
of,
Radiant
like,
Black and-
have you guys seen the random account on Twitter that's like posting all these Radiant Black gifs that are like faded and like blacked out? They almost like look glitchy. What's up with that?
No.
I've not seen this.
I've only seen the 4 or 5 that has been made, like when you search on the GIF thing.
No, there's
They're
like
frequent. They're
this,
like daily.
yeah, there's this new like
Daily.
account on Twitter, and yeah, they're called wait, let me find them. But yeah, they're just
It's
like
Black Market
tweeting-
narrative. That's the only
Yeah.
text you can make out.
Yeah, it's black. Yeah, it's their username is Black Market and Black Market Narrative, but like NAR, and they're following 0 people. They have like their entire title, their descriptions all like faded out, and then they're just tweeting all these like.
Oh, okay.
Radiant
Yeah,
Black
I
gifs.
have. I've seen this.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I've seen a couple of these retweeted. I didn't really know what the fuck it was.
Yeah, no, there seems to be some sort of mystery here. We should try to get more people to
Yeah,
help us figure this out.
figure it out. We need the
Who
Twitter
are you,
sleuths
Black
on this.
Market Nar?
Yeah, we need the community.
Black Market gnarly.
We need the Black Market gnarly. I like that. We need the community to come together and figure this out, guys. Who is this Black Market? Now, is
Who's
it Glitch
following
Guy?
them?
Glitch Guy has penetrated this universe. Like, is this become real?
Oh,
Is
I mean,
fuck.
Radiant Black and Radiant Red have Twitter. Radiant
Yes!
Yellow would not be on Twitter. He'd be like, I'm too
You
old for this
you
shit.
just
Radiant
solved the mystery.
emojis. I don't know.
It has to be
Never
Glitch
know.
Guy. This is the sword motherfucker. Oh
He's
my
coming
God.
to take over the Twitter.
Dude, you just solved the fucking Da Vinci Code.
Oh my god.
Oh my
It makes sense.
God. I'm gonna tweet
Vinci
at him
might
right
show up in
now.
Ordinary
I'm gonna
Dog.
say it. I'm gonna say I know who you are. Dot. Tweet. Live that shit.
That's right. Live tweeting and more on this week's episode. You never know what's going to happen. So, yeah. But yeah, check out Ordinary Gods if you haven't. Like, there's really no reason not to. It's awesome. Unless you want to wait for, like, the first volume to come out in, like, 6 months. But yeah, definitely.
Don't trade weight this shit,
No,
man.
Yeah,
This
this
is
is
great.
Yeah, get number 1, so you'll
Yeah.
be thankful when you have number 1. Yeah, trust me. Like, just look at the cover of number 1. Look at that dope ass cover with all like the
Yeah.
historic, like Stalin, the Queen.
And then
we
when you
got
open it
Fisk,
up and it's
Abe.
just one big beautiful piece.
We got the
Yeah.
Immortal right there.
Oh, God. You got Immortal on the cover, so Invincible's already tied in here. Like, it's so sweet.
Yeah, it's I don't know, man. That's one hell of a cover. And yeah, like speaking of, we talked extensively here about 2 comics that are Higgins related, and I know you guys have been doing such an amazing job expanding the comic book community on Twitter, specifically
Aw, thanks,
through
guys.
through your involvement with indie comics. I think it's awesome, actually. Like just through watching Derek's videos, following him on Twitter, and listening to the podcast, I've become aware of like certain titles that I've never heard about before. They look genuinely intriguing, and
Aw.
I mean, I know that Ricky has been reading Nottingham. I've been reading Nottingham for a
Yeah.
while, but it was really refreshing to see someone else like talk about Nottingham because that series is so fucking good, so good.
Oh man, I don't know what I picked it up on a whim. Our comic book store owner was like, everybody's talking about this. This is great, and I was like, well, we weren't really sure, and I was like, I'll pick it up. I picked it up, and I don't regret it. I think everybody should try to get their hands on this. You're not going to because it's tough to find a copy of it, but
Yeah.
if it comes to trade, get it.
It's like
This is-
reading The Witcher, but if you were like the NPC in The Witcher, not like an NPC in a quest, like not like himself, like Witcher himself, because that's how it feels. It's like you're following this like what's called the police dude who's trying to
Yeah,
basically
the sheriff.
like find
The
the
sheriff
sheriff.
of Nottingham.
Yeah, and he's just trying to like find all the guys with the mask, the undercover, what do you call them?
The merry
tax,
men.
yeah, the guys who want to kill the tax dudes, and oh my god, it just gets intense. And
See,
like
I
the
haven't
redhead chick,
got to
too.
read it yet. Tevin brought it over today, and I'm gonna read
Just
it
gave
after
it
we
to
do
him.
this. So I'm super
Dude,
stoked.
it's so good. You know what you guys should read if you haven't read it? You guys should read Stray Dogs.
I picked up issue 4. I was like, I've seen it at the store twice. I'm not going to read it. And I ordered the trade because I know there's no way I'm going to get the others any other way. There's
See,
just
Yeah,
no
no,
possible way.
It's so good. It's so good. Like
It's
like,
Disney
long-
horror.
long story
Like, it's
short,
crazy.
Like,
Yeah.
we have 2 comic shops where we live, and like the one that we went to first only got Marvel and DC, which is like
Yep.
fine, but like fuck no, give me my indies.
You're missing
Yeah,
out.
they had like 4 or 5 indie titles that they stuck in this little spot turned sideways that you couldn't explore.
Yeah,
You couldn't look
they
at
got
it.
like Spawn and My Little Pony or some
Yeah,
shit.
that was it. Really, that was it. And they had the boys omnibus, of course. They had to have that.
And then we got this new shop, and he gets all of the indie stuff. And it was before we officially switched, and Stray Dogs was coming out, and we just kind of
We
missed
missed
it.
Oh,
So
yeah,
like
yeah.
totally excited for Tevin to buy the trade so I can read it.
Yep. I'll hook him up. Even though he doesn't hook me up, I'm going to hook him up for once.
Jeez,
Yeah.
drama. It's
Yeah. Oh, no,
Drama
it's-
Monday.
Oh,
This is-
absolutely. He wants
Outside
my
of the
Comixology password, and it's not fucking happening.
Yeah, you guys should check out Firepower by Kirkman. I feel like you both would read. Do you guys like
Firepower.
kung fu shit?
Wait, hold on. I'm making a
course.
list. You hold on. Hold your horses.
Like
I've seen a lot of people talking about
Fire-
Firepower.
Fire-
I
Dude,
really want to
Firepower
get into it.
is so good, dude. It's so good. It's like so underrated. Like I swear to God,
I
I
love
don't
it. The
understand.
prelude is
So
great.
underrated. Like it's
Yeah.
so underrated. Like I looked at even like my comic book roundup where like to see the reviews, and they like most issues aren't even reviewed. Like that's how underrated it is. Like nobody
Wow, are you serious?
seriously nobody reads it.
And
If
it's
you go on
Kirkman.
YouTube-
It's
Kirkman,
writer
yeah.
people might have heard of.
And
yeah.
Fucking Kirkman.
With Chris Somney, dude. Chris Somney's artwork is something
Oh, yeah.
else. Like I'm telling you right now, this book is special. Like seriously, like once you read,
Damn.
look. I'll tell you this. There's a prelude. It's like
Yeah.
a graphic novel. It's like I think it's like $10 to $15, something like that. But it's on the Skybound store. It's everywhere. Any comic book store will have it. But Amazon or whatever, they it's cheap too. Like, but it's usually on sale. But
And it's got an Owen who does need a gaslight because he's got firepower.
This is-
So you're good.
What
Yeah,
is this? I'm
it's
looking
about
at
a
this
dude
as a
who can throw fireballs. That's what it's about, literally. But like
Liu Kang. It's a Liu Kang
Yeah.
story. I'm in.
exactly. It's like Iron
Yeah.
Fist. If Iron Fist were good, like recently, you know what I mean? Like it's like that. But like yeah, what do you call it? The prelude.
fire.
It's 140 pages, something like that, and it's like it takes place before number 1, which is really weird for a comic to do, but they did that.
Yeah.
If you read the prelude, I guarantee you will fall in love with,
You're
with
hooked.
this.
Look,
You're
I don't
hooked.
want to be
Like,
that guy. I don't want to be that guy with you. 164 pages. This is insane. I looked it up because I'm interested in reading it, but
It's good.
this is wild. It opens up and there's the Himalaya mountains or something. I don't know. This is crazy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no, dude, it's so good, and
You'll
it's
fly
like
through it.
it's
You'll fly through
Kirkman, so like it's like kind of like it's like I don't know, I don't want to say it's like Invincible, it's not, but like it has similar vibes in some senses. Yeah,
And-
like
and-
this. Yeah.
Look, me and Derek were talking on the last podcast, and I mentioned to him that if you can tell a story panel to panel with no words, that's amazing. And that's what this is doing.
Yeah,
That's what this is
that's
doing
what
right
Somni
here.
does. That's the for me the best part about Firepower is that there's like Kirkman is known for having good writing and dialogues. Like he's that guy. But he doesn't even write that much in this book overall because Somni's artwork is that good. Like
Yeah.
it's so good that he doesn't even need words.
Well, I'm gonna have to
definitely
look
feel
it
It just
up
feels
and see what
right.
we can do.
It's perfect. And
It
Are
really
you
is.
guys getting paid to tell me this? Because you're really
No,
good.
No,
Is this
I wish.
sponsored?
I was just surprised there was no like Firepower podcast or something because I looked this shit up. I was like, I was thinking about starting one and everything, but I looked this shit up and I was like, I love Firepower. I want to see people talk about it, and I looked it up and nobody talks about it. And then like I went to the comic book roundup websites to see who's like what critics are reviewing it, and nobody was reviewing it. And I was like, what the fuck? Like nobody's reading this. And the weird thing is that issue number 1, there were 2 editions. There was like a slightly shorter, I think, free comic book day edition that was given out in like 2020, I think, for free comic book day. So you could have gotten number 1 for free. Like literally, you could. Some stores probably still have it for free. Number 1, there's 2 editions. There's the normal number 1, $4, and there's the free one. The free one you could get it for free. I got one for free. So it's like I'm super surprised that for a comic the number 1 was free. Like a lot of people don't read it, but like at the same time, like I think Kirkman fucked up because if you don't read the prelude and you just read number 1, it kind of like skips.
You miss a lot.
You basically miss the origin. Like it's like it completely skips everything about every character and you just dive into it. Like it's you can't do it in my opinion. You have to read the prelude. You know?
Yeah, because I've seen people on Twitter. I've seen a couple people on Twitter talk about Firepower, and it seems like there's no middle ground. You're either like, fuck yeah, take my money, or Kirkman, you're garbage.
This is a continuation story. What are they at 12?
Yeah, it's at 13.
13.
13 weeks ago. And then the 14's coming out soon. Yeah, and it's like once a month, I think, like Radiant Black. So it's not super fast. Yeah, but yeah, it's so good.
Hey, that character
without the prelude though,
awesome.
It's like. Yeah, with no prelude, it's like you just eat a Hot Pocket right out of the freezer, right? Like it's okay, I can probably manage this, but like there's something missing here.
Because you skip like
we need some firepower with this Hot Pocket.
Yeah, you skip like so much happens in the prelude. It's like basically you read issue 1 and there's a feud, and you're like, why are these people feuding? And it's like, oh, you have to read the prelude. You know what I mean? Like,
like straight hey, $9.99 for 164 pages. That's a
steal. Dude, I swear it's a steal. Once you see the book, like you read it, you're gonna be like, how the fuck are more people like reading this? Like I don't understand.
It's Tevin, you trying to buy this? And
there's a dog named Peanut Butter.
With that Comixology password, you can have it.
But yeah,
we got grade A beef off the podcast. We'll keep it there.
Firepower is not on Comixology Unlimited. That's unfortunate.
Yeah, then I don't want your password anymore.
I will say this prelude cover does look pretty dope. Is that an old ass man with some headphones on?
As a monk.
He's the best.
He's wearing Jordans, bro. Like, come on.
No way.
Bro, he's wearing Jordans.
Dunk on us. Look at this.
Dude, trust me, man.
Motherfucker.
I'm telling you, man. You guys, this book is like being slept on, dude.
I've been wearing Jordan 1s every day for like the last 6 years. I'm in.
That's you, but minus the cool hat.
I have tons of sweet hats. Don't you watch my videos?
You have no hats. You're a loser, dude.
I wear hats in my videos all the time because my hair
looks
sucks.
Great. Thank you for sharing this with me. This looks great. I'm gonna go home and put in an order request for this.
Yeah, somebody needs to tell Tevin what to read.
Every episode, we talk about Firepower every episode. He's obsessed with it.
Let me tell you something.
I want to see you guys talk about it on the weekly polls. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, you guys are gonna be like, you're gonna have the same trouble we did. You're gonna be like, this is dope, and then you're gonna encounter the names, and there's like all these like really difficult names, and there's so many characters,
Don't do that
and you're gonna be like, how do I remember all these names? They're like Wei Lun, Ling Zan, Cheng Fu, or Fu Cheng. But yeah, other than that, it's.
I think we played enough Mortal Kombat. We'll be all right with some Shang Tsungs and Quan Chis. We'll be all right.
As long as may or may not be a dragon as well. Liu Kang going
with his bicycle kicks.
Fuck yes.
Oh man,
love it.
Yeah, and so usually we like to, whenever we have a guest over, or guests over in this case, because we're graced with the presence of both of you, we like to ask each person, and in this case, obviously, it'll be Tevin and Dereck. You could both come up with a suggestion of your own each. What is a comic book series that right now you're reading, you love, and you would recommend people check out? Like, obviously, aside from the ones we talked about.
Go ahead, Dereck. I'll let you go first.
Me? Why do you always make me go first? Do you think I'm a lady or something?
No, well... I do want you to go first. I'm the polite one, you know.
Oh, God, this is so hard.
Well, then I'll go. Then I'll go. I talk about this comic all the time. I picked it up on a whim, and it's Berserker, the Keanu Reeves book. A lot of people are calling this. They're calling this a B movie comic, and I disagree with all of you. And you can at me on Twitter. Yeah, that's right. You can at me on Twitter at the Tevin No I. You can at me, tell me what you think of this book, and I'm going to clap back at you with some gifts. Because this book is fantastic. The art, the writing, and it's getting a Netflix adaptation, I've heard, and I'm stoked.
I just want to say that me and Tevin are in the same house, and he's really hype about this, and I can hear him in the other room.
That's right. Jump through these walls. I love this comic, and it makes me upset that people are calling it a B-list comic. It's fantastic. It's amazing.
Yeah, I got Berserker on my poll.
It's really cool.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
good.
it's good. Yeah, it's a must pick up in my opinion.
It's gonna be like John Wick on steroids, the animated show. It'll be sweet.
I think so.
Gonna be super dope.
If it's animated, if it's live action, Keanu's gonna have to do the Ben Affleck and
jeez.
maybe Roy up a bit. Like, I don't know, but like I it's really cool. Like, I would recommend it too. It does need vowels to get its point across. It's just badass. Check it out. If you don't like the first issue, you probably won't like the rest of it, but it's really cool.
It's so good. I love it.
Ron Garney's artwork
Kevin
is
won't shut up
top
about it.
notch.
I haven't shut up about it since I picked it up.
Well, I mean, everybody knows that I talk about indies and I love indies, but like I'm gonna throw a fucking Marvel title out there.
Oh, I know what it is.
Beta Ray Bill.
Moon Knight.
Yep.
Bill.
Oh yeah, okay. You're right.
Scuttlebutt is the
Fuck, I love Beta Ray Bill.
Scuttlebutt is the real MVP of that series. Okay?
Scuttlebutt.
And we're not horsing around. It's amazing.
They're totally gonna.
Wow.
I'm sorry. They're totally gonna be like a couple by the end. It's gonna be Bill and Scout.
Yes. I
Yeah.
thought for sure they were gonna kiss in the last issue, and I was like, "Fuck, just kiss her, you horse! Fuck me,
Now he's the one excited, yelling through the walls.
dude! I love Beta Ray Bill. This series is so good. Daniel
dude,
Warren Johnson,
Daniel Warren
Mike
Johnson,
Spicer,
yeah.
fucking take my money, bro.
Yep.
They explain
I
why the long
buy
face.
it.
It's perfect.
Daniel Warren Johnson's like one of those people that I'll literally buy anything he does. Like literally.
Dude, when
Dude,
all
he
the
needs to
like
do
wrestling
an initial
moves and
Ultra
shit.
Mega.
Yeah.
Dude,
Yeah,
he
the
needs
German
to do
suplex
initial
on
Ultra
Thor.
Mega.
Yeah.
Yeah, suplexing Thor, like yes.
Well, he's
Spoiler
gonna let me.
alert.
All right, I'll give up the Comixology password if you let me borrow this series.
I'm the one with the password.
You gotta let me
Really
borrow the
smooth now. It's a
series. I
hive
got your
mind.
books.
I'll
right
let
here.
you borrow Beta Ray Bill. Yes,
There you go.
everybody need. It's only 5 fucking issues. If you haven't been reading it, go pick it up and trade when the fuck they put it out. It's so good.
It's so
fucking
good.
Scourge
Well,
is
it's right
like
after
he
Case's
has
run.
guns and shit.
It's so good.
It's so
like,
funny.
it's
and it's
probably Marvel's
wholesome.
best title, like right now, honestly.
Yes, it's so wholesome. Like I've literally cried almost every issue. But yeah, pretty much. There's only 4 issues. I've cried during every issue because I feel so bad for Bill. And I like
poor
you can
guy.
just relate. Who the fuck? Daniel Warren Johnson is making me relate to a horse face. Like
That's right.
I feel like I have lived Bill's life. And it's like fuck.
I mean, you do look very similar in person. The videos don't do you justice.
I know. But it's just like when he gets rejected from his like whatever the fuck that woman's name was. I'm like, oh my god, Bill got blue balls. No.
Lady Sif is like, oh.
Yeah,
how's this
Lady
happen?
Sif, that's her name.
Yeah. Another thing, like, I didn't realize like what an asshole Thor was when he destroyed Stormbreaker, like the actual impact. Like I didn't know it was like his like way to like transform between forms. So like Thor just kind of looks like an even bigger asshole in that. Like,
Yes. Did you guys read
He just
the
is
Thor,
one, yeah.
Donny Cates' Thor when that happened?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
good.
Look, I didn't like Thor in this Hero Reborn series. I thought he was an ass in that one as well. I don't know if you all read the Heroes Reborn, but Thor was an ass.
I haven't, but I can believe it.
I did not. Yeah, I skipped the event. I just felt like it looked like Death
Jason
Metal
Aaron.
Marvel.
One of my favorites, Jason Aaron. You got to check out his work. He did Ultimate
Jason
Cap,
Aaron,
which
bro.
is
I've read like all his Thor. Like I own all his Thor. Like the entire run. Like I own all the single issues.
Gore's one of my favorites.
Yeah, like Gore's one of
Gore's
my
amazing.
favorites. I love Jason Aaron, but I just skipped the whole event.
Listen.
But have you read God of Thunder?
No.
not yet.
Ooh.
Made my summer last year. It was amazing. Like made it for COVID for me. It was
dude,
so
you need
freaking
to,
good.
Look, you need to go read The God Butcher. You need like it's like a rite of passage in comics. Like it's something.
He's the villain in the new Thor movie.
No. You need to fuck the movie. You need to read the books first. Cause
He said fuck the
fucking
movie.
crazy.
Alright.
It's fucking crazy. No. Derek needs to read it too.
It's called God
Yeah,
of
you won't
Thunder.
regret it.
Just got.
I've got it right here, Derek. I'll show you later.
Okay.
It's so good. It's
Yeah,
like,
look, anything Jason Aaron does, I'll hop in.
Listen, I want to throw out one Jason Aaron title, and it's an indie from Image. Have you guys heard of Southern Bastards?
Yep.
Yeah, everyone tells me. I haven't read it, but everyone tells me it's good.
I mean, it's only got 4
He loves it.
volumes, and like it like didn't like really end or anything. But I don't know if he'll ever get back to it. But oh my god, it's so good! Fucking Alabama redneck murdering bullshit inbred. Like yes.
And we've got some
I'll
serious
read it for the
off
title
the
alone.
we got some serious off the record stuff that I would recommend that are in like Kickstarter phase. Like if you haven't checked out Midnight Highway, do it. It's amazing.
Yes.
I mean, we were sent this
I'll have to
comic
check
and
it out.
we were absolutely
Listen,
blown away.
yes.
by
If y'all want me
Midnight
to send
Highway.
you like the links to the Kickstarter, I will. Like
You need
these
to back
guys reached
this.
out to me to review this shit, and I read issue 1, and honestly, honest to fucking god, like I'm not on here to sell anything, you
No,
guys. They
no.
don't pay
We're
me
not
to
sponsored.
talk good about this shit.
Yeah, no sponsor.
But like,
Oh shit, the art looks
yeah, dude,
great.
Midnight Highway is fucking
Fantastic.
amazing. I can't wait to get issue 2.
Yep.
Like, I don't buy a lot. Like, I'm not trying to spend all my money on Kickstarter, but like, I back this. I want this. I have good feelings about this.
So if we could put you onto like something that's really under the radar, that's the one that I'm telling you. It's amazing.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna check it out. 80s horror.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
It
Sweet.
sounds
Got
like
some-
a
Got some of the
vaporwave song.
Who references in there.
It's very much
Amazing.
one of those types of comics that we just talked about. Like, it's not very wordy, and they're really good at telling the story with the fucking art, and it's so good.
Yep.
Sweet.
Well, yeah. So it looks like both of us, we've got our homework set for us. We got some. I mean, what kind of homework is better than the best? Some awesome comic books to read, right? Like
That's
that's
right.
the best kind of thing. And
Retweet.
yeah, I'm
An
looking
Alice in Wonderland meets Twilight Zone trip through the supernatural. Okay, that's all I need. Like,
Yes.
Crazy good book.
jeez.
It's already backed. Like, it's totally happening. So if like you want to get like some PDFs or physicals, like, dude, back it. Fuck, it's so good.
Yep.
Awesome.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I like about the weekly pools is you guys put a spotlight on, not even just indie publishers, something from Boom or Image, but people that are really just trying to like get their life's work out there, and it's awesome.
Like,
Hey,
we
check
didn't even know. I knew Kickstarter was a thing. I hadn't even heard of Indiegogo, but it's just like there are so many people out there making so much fucking cool shit, and a lot of it will probably never even get made because there's just not enough money in the world. But it's like, oh my god.
Yep. And there's this other side, web comics. We didn't dive deep into that, but so many people reached out with that. It's amazing, and I love comic Twitter. I love everybody who reached out to us. I'm not trying to plug or anything, but this is, we're going to talk about a lot of this stuff, and we just need time because it's a lot.
Hold on, I'm gonna recommend a web comic to you guys too. This shit's free. What Space Bitch?
Yep, that's it.
What's that girl's name that writes it? Let me find her on Twitter so I can
Wait,
get
is
her
the
like
comic,
a little
comic
shout.
called Space Bitch?
It's called
Yes.
Space Bitch, and this shit we're gonna
It's
talk
wild.
about
There's
Space
tomorrow on our
Bastards and Space
podcast,
Bitch?
too.
Yes.
Yeah, Space
Oh,
Bitch.
Yeah.
Wait,
I think her
that's
Twitter
cool.
handle is her name is Bree.
Is it Bree?
I don't know what her Art Amazon.
Yeah,
is her
or
Twitter.
at our Amazon. Brit. Her name's Brittany.
Yeah,
She
Brittany.
writes this webcomic called Space Bitch. And
Yeah.
it's like this main character, she's this purple alien badass bitch, and like it's very sexual, but it's not sexual like where it's like a man making it sexual, and it's like, ooh, like he's probably getting off.
It's a
on
woman
this.
doing
Like,
it, so it's
it's super fucking funny.
It's a fun ride. It's a fun read.
Oh,
It's
Definitely
wild.
find her on Twitter and read a couple because they're not super long.
Nope.
And I've read probably like the first 3 or 4. Fucking hilarious.
Yeah, no, we'll definitely check it out. Thanks for the suggestions, guys. And
Absolutely.
We appreciate yours. That Firepower. I mean, that looks dope.
oh yeah, we look forward to hearing your thoughts on it because like I said, I've been enjoying the podcast a lot. I was just listening to the 4th episode yesterday, so yeah, it's been great. And you guys always, you have a fantastic time, talk about a whole bunch of stuff, even outside of comics.
Yeah, give
You
us
guys
your,
are
give us
so
your Twitter
nice.
handles. Give us
Yeah, exactly.
your YouTube
Plug
channel.
yourselves
Give
in.
us your stuff.
At the weekly polls on
Yeah.
Twitter, every fucking podcast except Apple because they're fucking dragging their feet through the
Taking their
mud.
time.
Oh
They did
yeah,
the same
it's
thing with
big.
us. They did the same thing with us. Yeah.
God,
Fuck
they're
Apple.
dragging. What else? I'm on Twitter.
Yeah.
We're on YouTube, the weekly polls. Tevin at the Tevin minus the I.
He did it for me. Thank you.
You're welcome. Like, yeah, guys.
And
the weekly
and look, you
fucking
guys were the
polls.
reason why I even went to look for stray dogs. If I'm gonna be honest, I listened to your podcast, you all talking about it. I was in. I was like, I gotta
See,
find
you
it.
guys need to tell
Dude,
Tevin what to
dude,
read because I've
Stray
been
Dogs
telling
is
Tevin.
so fucking good, dude. Straight up, like, oh, dude, like Stray Dogs actually like I think Dereck will cry when he reads it.
I
I'll let him
totally
borrow
will.
it.
I almost cried. I swear to God, like at the last issue, I was like, oh my God, I had to read it 2 times
I'm
because
such
the
an
first
emotional
time I was
bitch.
destroyed. Yeah, me too. Like I was like, I was staring up, tearing up and shit. I like, bro, like Stray Dogs. And you know the best part is that the reason. There's actually 2 reasons the book is selling out. Well, first of all, it's organic growth because people genuinely do love the title. They think it's a really, really good miniseries, and it really
Yep.
is. Really deserves the hype. The second is because it's been optioned by Paramount Studios for a movie. Like the writer Tony Fleecs said that himself in an interview.
Fuck me, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's
And there's
gonna
a
be
spin-off coming too.
yeah, and there's
I
a
heard
sequel
that.
coming. So for those of you who want, and this is good because it's free, so everyone get on this. Tell your friends, tell everyone. On Free Comic Book Day, there's a Free Comic Book Day Stray Dogs issue, and it's gonna be a sequel to the what happened in the actual miniseries. So, and then after that prequel, they're doing like a paid, like again, like another issue that's like he said he doesn't know if he wants to do it like one big issue or 2 or 3. So, but they're gonna do like a few more. So there's always more
Fuck
Stray Dogs to
yeah.
look forward to. Yeah, and it's so good. I'm telling you right now, once you read it, you're gonna be like, whoa, like seriously, you're gonna be like, this is one of the comics of the year because it's like, it's so weird. And I'll tell you something
You
funny.
got me
I
hyped for it. I haven't even read
Oh,
anything.
dude, I
I'm
love
already
I
sold.
thought it was ridiculous. Like when I saw it on the, because I'm like one of those Wednesday warriors. I'm like there
You see the
every
Silence
Wednesday.
of the Lambs cover?
Yeah. Yeah, you see the cover? I saw the cover and I was like, this looks kind of ridiculous. Like this, like why would I want to look at like Disney, like what is called what's the Disney movie? It's based on like the Lady and the Tramp kind of like
Yeah.
cartoony artwork. It looks ridiculous. I said that, and then my the manager at my local comic book shop, and I really respect him. He's super nice. Shout out Strange Adventures, and shout out Dave. He was like, "You should check it out. It's really good. Like seriously." And I was like, "Okay." I picked it up just because he recommended it, and dude, it's like, it's so good. It's so good. Like it's insane. It's something that's like completely different than anything I've really read
I
before.
cannot wait. I cannot wait for this.
It's so good. Yeah, no,
Yeah,
you
check
guys
it
are gonna
out.
have a blast. Yeah, you're gonna love it. I can
It's
guarantee it.
Disney horror. Like it's so good.
This is so much fun. You guys are great.
Yeah, thanks for having us,
Yeah.
guys. Really,
Oh yeah,
truly.
of course. No, thank you.
Our
for
pleasure.
joining. Yeah, we've had a blast. And is there anything else you guys want to say today before we head out?
When I
Follow
started
you
doing
guys.
okay, you go ahead, Tevin.
No, don't finish.
Oh,
Interrupt
I was just
me.
gonna say, like, whenever I started doing all this Twitter and YouTube shit, like, I never expected, like, for it to get like this and, like, meet cool people. And it's just, like, really cool because my whole life, all I've had is fucking Tevin. So it's like, now there's
Sadly,
even more
sadly.
people. I recommend
Tevin
everybody
seems
get,
great.
I recommend everybody get you a Tevin. But, like, I will say, like, no, this is really cool. I'm really, like, thank you guys for, like, fucking reaching out and having us do this. This is, like, awesome.
Such an
Yeah,
open
thank you for
community
joining.
towards us,
Yeah.
and I just
Yeah.
am overwhelmed that I joined Twitter like 2 weeks ago, and everybody's just been so great, open, helpful, talking back. It's just fantastic. Great community. I love all of you.
We kick
Truly.
gatekeepers in the dick.
That's right.
Yeah, I was the same on the Radiant
Yeah.
Black Discord. Like we hate gatekeepers. Like the only thing like I actually have to like maintain is like someone the other day asked me if he could be the shit colored Radiant. Like literally he joined because we have this thing in the Discord where it's called like Radiant Sync, and we let people basically sync their roles to the color of the Radiant they want. And this guy was like, "Can I be the shit colored Radiant? Because I just took a really bad shit or something in the bathroom." And I'm just like, I think I'm just gonna keep it to the comic book ones for now.
That actually was my Tevin that said that too. So I'm not kidding.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
Yeah. So, but yeah. Anyways, before this, we were all stray dogs. Now we're like a wolf pack. So it's pretty cool.
We're
That's
the
right.
homies. We're the
Hey,
homies, like straight up.
That's right.
Where the hood at? Or a mix.
For real. Every time my dog barks, I cry.
Yes. So in the future, we do with this new segment. We like the last episode you were talking about where we talked about stray dogs. We had a new segment where we're talking about like Radiant roster. We're talking with different people from the community about random shit. And in the future when we do a Radiant roster, we'd love it if you guys joined us again. We can all talk about random shit again.
Oh, absolutely.
Retweet.
Absolutely.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you
Sweet.
guys for joining us. We're gonna have another part of the episode soon where we're recording with Wyatt. So there's also that to look forward to. And stay radiant, everyone.
Stay radiant.
Hello, and today we are joined by Wyatt Layne, musician and producer. How you doing, Wyatt?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Pretty good. How you doing?
Great. I mean, we're talking Radiant Black, so it's always a good time. It's such a sweet series, and when you're talking about it with even better people, I mean, it's always a good time.
Yeah, I mean,
Although,
I was excited to have you on here because it's funny. I was watching the one of the last episodes of the Invincible podcast where you were just on too. So I was like, this is super exciting. We're gonna get someone who is just on the Invincible podcast, and we love those guys.
Yeah, totally. Oh yeah, that was really fun. Those guys are great. That's really kind of how I got connected with tons of people. I think you guys included really on Twitter just because I was, obviously a fan of Invincible like you guys. And then I think we all have that same story of like loving Invincible and looking for any other Invincible content out there and finding the podcast and then becoming a fan of it. And yeah, have just been lucky enough that they even reached out to ask to use some of my music for the Oblivion Song podcast and now even for the Invincible podcast. So yeah, it's always great talking to those guys and talking about Invincible in general and comics in general, which Radiant Black is definitely, I think, like kind of filled that void for, I think, a lot of Invincible fans. I know that's
no
even
pun
how they were.
intended.
Yeah, totally. I know they were even kind of marketing it that way with the quote from Kirkman before Radiant Black came out, and obviously Kyle going on the Invincible podcast. So yeah, it's been really awesome.
Yeah, and one of the funny things is I just started. Matt's been telling me about reading Oblivion Song for a while, and I read like the first 6 issues a long time ago. I liked it, but I was like, this is okay. And then I recently read pretty much all of it. I think I'm on issue like 30 now, so I think I'm like 2 or 3 issues behind, but I caught up on
Nice.
most of it. Yeah, and I started listening to the Oblivion Song podcast, and I think I'm only like 2 or 3 episodes in, but I heard the soundtrack you did for them, and I think it's awesome. Like it really
Oh, thank you.
it really captures the essence of the series. It's like a perfect kind of tone. I thought it was fantastic. So
Yeah, that song, it's so wild too because so if anybody who doesn't know, I put out instrumental music, a lot of like electronic stuff or whatever kind of genre I'm sort of feeling. I try to do one new song every month, and I decided on that it was March of like 2018 when I decided I was going to like try and start making music again because I had made music, when I was much younger and just kind of fell off. So I started doing that, made the song that is now the intro for the Oblivion Song podcast as the first song that I made after years of not really making music for a while,
oh
and
wow.
put it out. And I feel like it was a couple of days after I put it out that they had announced they're going to start the Oblivion Song podcast. And I remember like thinking like, oh, I would love to make something for them, but I'm sure they're going to start doing it really soon. And I probably don't have enough time. And then they reached out on Twitter and were like, hey, we really like the song. We feel like it really works for Oblivion Song. Is it okay if we use it? And I was just like, yeah, absolutely. But it's such a weird thing to, I'm sure you guys probably even feel the same way when you look back at like the very first podcast you did, or when I look back at like older music for me, sometimes it's a little difficult to hear because I'm like, oh, I've learned a lot and would have done a couple of things differently and might have changed it. But that one in particular, it at least like I look at it now and I don't even really hear music that I made. I just hear it as the Oblivion Song podcast intro now. So it helps ease some of my like critical eye on it.
Well, yeah, I saw your album. It's called Reach Out, and that's a lot of what's going on in the podcast community and on comics Twitter. Everyone's reaching out, and like there's an awesome community that grows every week and every month with every new issue of Radiant Black or every episode of Invincible. It's really awesome.
Totally, yeah, and honestly, that's where that name came from because like, and all of my stuff's instrumental music, and so it's titles for songs and titles for albums are always just like kind of weird for me to come up with because there's no lyrics or words in the song. So I try to just come up with something that means something to me. And yeah, that album I decided to call Reach Out because it was that year in particular was when I really, connected more with whether it's the guys in the Invincible podcast or a few other people who reached out and asked to either have me on or have like some of my music as part of their podcast. And it's like that's one of the things that obviously the internet is a big mixed bag of great stuff and terrible stuff. But
Yeah.
that's one of the greatest things about the internet nowadays is getting to connect with people who are, across the country in different countries and getting to share in stuff that's awesome and that we love and that we're passionate about. So yeah, totally.
Yeah, I listened to Reach Out today on Spotify and like I loved it. I'm surprised like tracks like 3089 doesn't have like a few 100,000 like listens. Like it's really quality stuff. Anyone out there that hasn't heard your music, I mean it's good shit. Like really, I
Oh,
love it.
that's awesome, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no question. And like it must be hard to actually like. I mean, you made the theme before they picked it for Oblivion song and for the Invincible podcast, but like, it fits so well that you don't even really like think that it was made separately. It's perfect.
Yeah, it definitely. I was surprised that it especially the Oblivion song one worked out so well because it was just I was just kind of playing around with stuff in GarageBand basically on my laptop and trying to make something that I sounded cool, and it did end up with sort of like a sci-fi eerie kind of vibe that fits with Oblivion song. So yeah, it was definitely a happy accident. But that was also like when they reached out and were like, "Hey, we want to use this for a podcast." It was me like reflecting and being like, "Okay, I feel like this means I should keep doing it. Like this is the universe telling me, good job.
Oh, yeah.
Like you started making
Yeah.
music again, keep doing it." So yeah, it was great.
That's fantastic. And speaking of music, have you been keeping up with the soundtrack for Radiant Black?
Oh, it's so good. It's so good. Like it is I was so excited when that got announced, when like I saw Kyle promoting that and saying they were going to be doing music. And from the minute that I clicked that first one, it's amazing. Like, and I wish more comics would do that even, because it's obviously like very like it feels like a superhero theme, like Sam Ewing's, especially that first track at least. And yeah, it's so fantastic. I'm so glad that they're doing that, and I'm still haven't listened to the new ones that he just posted because I know there was a delay on like the last three, but I'm super excited to kick back and check those ones out.
Oh yeah, those are awesome. I just heard them yesterday because I think they just dropped it recently. So yeah, no, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
And so you were saying earlier that part of the reason you got into Radiant Black is because of the solicitation saying it was like for fans of Invincible.
Yeah, for sure. And I listened to the Invincible podcast when Kyle came on the show with them and talked about the comic and kind of pitched it even before it was out. And, I know they had gotten to read, I think, the first couple issues at least. And yeah, it just definitely like it, especially with them pitching it sort of as a, anyone who liked Invincible will really like this, or it just being an original superhero comic. Like other than Invincible, I hadn't really been reading any superhero comics anymore. Like there weren't many, like Invincible got me back into superhero comics, and that was because I kind of fell off of the Marvel and DC ones just because of, constant reboots and continuity stuff not really mattering. That soured me on Marvel and DC comics for a while. Like I'll still pick up a trade every now and then or check out stories that are getting a lot of buzz or whatever, but I stopped reading frequently, where I was picking up Marvel and DC superhero stuff monthly. And then, Invincible got me back into that. But ever since Invincible ended, I wasn't really reading any current ongoing like superhero stuff. So that just kind of piqued my interest. And the way Kyle had kind of pitched it and talked about it, you could tell that he was just very passionate about the story. And clearly he had like some big ideas where he would be hinting at little things that he didn't want to give too much away. And I think we're seeing some of that stuff now. Like it would be interesting to go back and listen to that episode again when it was before the issue had even come out and see if, it likely he was probably alluding to some of the stuff we've seen now in issue 5 or issue 4, really, like with the stuff that happened with Nathan and Marshall and all of that. So yeah, it definitely, the way Kyle talked about it, it just seemed super, super interesting. And then every issue that came out of Radiant Black was just such a, like, there are so many comics that I'll read, ongoing comics, and then I'll love the first issue. It'll feel like this is such a great premise. I'm excited. But then the second issue is like, okay, that's fine. I can see they're setting some stuff up. And the third issue is like, yeah, that was still pretty good. And then I just kind of forget about it because nothing really big or like new or exciting happened in the book. And every time I picked up an issue of Radiant Black, it was so exciting. Like even before, issue 4 is obviously like the big one where, with what happens to Nathan. But even before that, when he's writing and you turn the page and then suddenly you're reading the like novel that he's writing, that was just such a cool surprise to me and something that I had never really seen in a comic. Like I'm sure it probably has been done before where they have just what looks like the page of a novel, or maybe it hasn't, but it was the first time that it happened. And I just thought it was so cool. And I appreciated that they were trying something like that, and they were distinctly trying to be different than what you were expecting. And that has continued through this most recent issue with issue 6, and kind of diverting from the plot line that we're in the middle of to suddenly make you care about a character who's basically been the villain this whole time, who's basically been like the antagonist. So yeah, it's just every issue I'm never let down, and there's always something that jumps out at me that I'm like delighted by, that I just it has made me, more engaged in monthly ongoing comics than really any series since Invincible has.
Well said. Yeah, even totally. Going back, different angles that you can look at the series are amazing. Like just seeing like Marshall, who's apparently like the main character or the Radiant Black now, he just kind of pops in out of the nowhere, walks down the street, and you don't even realize he's the main character. It's just, it really has a lot of reread value, and it's really well thought out and super well planned.
Yeah, totally. You can definitely imagine, like I imagine Kyle has like a binder somewhere that's just got like tons of plot lines and ideas and where he wants to seed things in and everything. It's awesome.
Yeah, the Radiant Black Bible there with everything. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and I honestly think like having something like the Radiant Black Discord helps because, like we said before, he can just read what everyone's thinking and just completely change it.
Yeah,
just,
totally.
You know what I mean? Like he's just like, oh, you guys think this? Well, fuck that. It's not happening.
Or they're onto me, but I'm gonna do it in a totally different way that they won't even like think of the factors I have involved with it. It's really cool to see. He has the fingers on the pulse there on the community of like the hardcores that are just thinking every minute about Radiant Black and where it's going next. It's a cool dynamic.
Yeah, and I feel like that's even part of the appeal of the comic, and it makes my investment of the comic even stronger, just to know that like all the people who work on it are very like active online and active on the Discord or with fans on Twitter and things like that. And so it makes me excited for them when the book is doing well, right? Like it makes me excited to see what happens next and to see how the comic evolves with like new music coming out, what kind of variants are they going to have, and just like their participation with the community, I think only helps to make the book more fun to read.
They lean into like all these things that people love too. Like there's some kind of like Nightwing-ish kind of stuff in there, and then there's like the Spider-Man tribute cover that I think that's for 9 coming up, right?
Yeah,
Bash. Yeah. So there's that, and even like you have the pose in one of the issues there that's like the Secret Wars pose, and there's a lot of like homages, and of course the Invincible homage with that third print there of issue 5, right? Yeah. So there's like all these things. It's like the love of all these awesome, like really beloved comic properties that just kind of like get melted down this melting pot, and we get Radiant Black, and of course Power Rangers is thrown in there as well.
Yeah, totally. And that was one of the things that I think looking at the initial artwork, I could tell like the Power Ranger influence. And I don't really have that much nostalgia for Power Rangers. Like I definitely watched them as a kid, but I don't think I've ever like as an adult, other than more recently when Michael, the editor who runs the Ranger Danger podcast, talked about it, and then I went to go look back. But I had never been like, oh yeah, like a modern Power Rangers type of story. I would love to read it. That never really crossed my mind, so I was a little hesitant to see what it would be like. But it very much is like just kind of treating the story as like a modern superhero story, and it definitely has like the aspects of like a sort of Power Ranger story, especially now with the other Radiants showing up with the different colors and things like that. But I also love how quickly they got to that. Like I could see a version of this comic if it were maybe written by someone else where they save like the different colors and the reveals of the different characters for 10, 20, 30 issues out before they reveal it. But I love that, even from the very beginning of issue 1, as soon as he gets the suit and you're like, okay, well, it's a character with a color in his name. So now comic fans are automatically going to wonder, are there other versions? And right at the end of the issue, you see Radiant Red. Like they're not wasting any time to kind of get to the things that they're clearly setting up, which is so exciting and so refreshing. Like it doesn't feel like it is forcing you to wait for the good stuff to happen. They're taking big swings.
I mean, there's that, of course, everything you guys just mentioned, which is a whole bunch of stuff. And then we just considered little things for us, like super fans of Invincible, for example, because, we talked back to that episode of the Invincible podcast where they had Kyle on. And yeah, like you're right, he was pitching the book. And part of the pitch was that he said he just read, Invincible again and finished it. And we look at that and you look at like in Radiant Black and you're like, okay, like Invincible, if we're going to compare it in terms of pacing, like Invincible took its time, the first like 12 issues or so, to introduce, the characters, establish the world, establish like everyone's like the hierarchy of the characters and whatnot. And then they slowly kind of grew that onto like space, and then you got the coalition and everything. But here, like you said, yeah, we didn't waste any time. We jumped straight into like, here's the Rangers,
Yeah.
the Radiant Rangers, basically.
Mhm.
And yeah, but I don't know what they're called yet as a team. But yeah, we got the the Radiants and
Fantastic
yeah.
Four, I think, is what they're going for. No.
Yeah, and beyond that, he talked about how like it was fantastic to see that twist with like Omni-Man, in issue like 7, but
Right.
with what if it were like an issue 4, and like we got that, like he really did
Yeah.
say that we got that in issue 4, so it's like looking forward for Radiant Black. There's just a lot to look forward to, and that's like we're talking about like he could, in the same way that he branched out this issue and worked with a different like art team, and he co-wrote it with Cheshen. There's a good chance that we might be able to see like like Invincible presents Adam Eve or Rex.
Yeah.
Like we get like Radiant
Yeah.
Black and then mini series or something, and
Yeah.
there's other writers and yeah.
That's really kind of what this last issue felt like too, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
this last
exactly.
issue sort of felt like a
Backdoor pilot.
Radiant Black presents Radiant Red. Like it's a little separate artist and a side story that kind of gives you more information. Totally. I would love to see, hopefully if the book continues to, be successful and the universe gets more and more fleshed out as we get deeper into the issues, like having even multiple ongoing like series where they're kind of tackling different parts of the universe or different characters. I think that would be awesome.
Yeah, no, that's what we really hope for here every week, to be honest.
Yeah.
But, yeah, like I can't even imagine. Like we've said it on other episodes, but I can't even imagine. Like we've seen Invincible crossover with some like ridiculous heroes, like the Tick, or like
Yeah.
he's been in books like the Pact or like whatever. Like he's crossed over with the Savage Dragon a million times, or like the Image United books, or like I can't see any reason why in a superhero like comic book from Image Comics that's like it's basically already cosmic, but I'm pretty sure like looking at some of the covers
Yeah.
for future issues, yeah, it's gonna go more cosmic. So I don't see why one day we can't get like an Invincible Radiant Black team up.
Yeah, that would be great. They could just very easily like make us believe that as Mark was getting thrown through all those portals by Angstrom, one of them that we didn't see,
Yep.
there's a
Yep.
black hole on the other side, and that's their Radiant universe.
And you have
Yeah.
Radiant Pink to send him back, maybe, if she can
There you
do
go.
like multiversal
Yeah,
stuff.
exactly.
Yeah.
Boom.
That's right.
Boom. One thing I was thinking about has this been mentioned before? I don't know if we talked about this before, but Radiant Yellow and Radiant Pink possibly being like father daughter, maybe like uncle and niece or something like that.
Oh,
'Cause
that would be interesting. Because yeah, Radiant Yellow, he definitely looks a little bit older, right, from the character models they've released and from issue 5. Yeah, that's where he was first introduced.
Yeah, and we saw the Radiants like launch off there, so they were close together, and it seems like that they've dealt with the glitch guy before, and if they escaped, like teaming up would be a good way for them to actually escape, because one-on-one, this guy looks like we theorized he might have killed Green if Green was a thing, so maybe she used her portals and they could just barely escape and look for others for help,
Yeah, that would be interesting. That would be super interesting.
Yeah, and Bash, you were saying on the Black Market, the newsletter that Higgins does, they kind of showed some of Yellow's powers too.
On the latest Black Market news, Kyle, I think, sent that out last night, so it's fairly recent. You
Yeah,
can go...
I saw that this morning, and they have a few preview pages from next.
Yes, and you see him use his powers for like 2 panels.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just shooting like light beams, and it looks really cool. I can't really, but like what's even cooler for me than seeing Radiant Yellow, which is dope. Like obviously he's shooting light beams, that looks interesting. Pages are of course amazing, but we see this glitch guy throw like little black hole stuff. Like what the hell is that? That looks so cool.
Yeah,
It looks like some Halo grenade.
all of the artwork that they're doing for the glitch guy is so awesome. Just like the whole just color aesthetic of this whole book is so great. Like all of the stuff that's with the giant mech or robot that they talk to, and all of that, just the like pinks and purples and things like that. Everything that they're doing with the art is just so cool. It's like I can't wait to see more of that and figure out where, like, especially if we do end up going cosmic and you're seeing more of like where this technology comes from and more characters that are using it. But yeah, I can't wait for next issue to pick up right in the action where we left off and to see more of that artwork of the glitch character and the Radiants using their powers against him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like we've been waiting for the epic battle, and we got that little halt with the origin issue of Radiant Red, which was fantastic. I mean, credit
Oh
to
yeah.
Higgins and Chen and everyone. It took them one issue to make Radiant Red a fan favorite, and we were
Yep.
all like hating Radiant Red.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, it took
Well, and
one
it,
issue.
it definitely like it adds more context and we care more we're gonna care more in the next issue when they're all fighting, because had they not done that, really the character that we would care about in that big fight is Marshall, right? Like he would be the one that we're really worried about getting hurt or wanting, like, that we're rooting for. And now I think we're going to be rooting for, half of the Radiant team. We know both of them very well and their motivations and what's going on with them. And it makes us instantly care more about a character that, like we said before, that was a villain before that, and just only at the very end of the issue did we start to see, like, oh well, maybe this isn't all that it looks like. But yeah, it totally, I think I could see some people maybe being upset that they're cutting away from the action, and I definitely obviously want to see where that goes with the glitch character and everything. But I think it was a super smart move, because now we have more attachment to the characters that will
Yeah.
be in whatever the action is to come.
Yeah, the action will have that much more meaning, right? When we know
Totally.
what's going on with and who Satomi is, and know that she's, not a bad person. She was just down a bad place. She could have easily been Nathan if Nathan took the money at the end of that second issue.
Totally.
Plus, now we know the real villain is Owen, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I was a little like, I went through so many emotions reading this most recent issue of just being like, oh, get out of there, leave this guy, like
Yeah.
you need to. And then like when she turns back, it's like, no, don't. And then the like sympathy of like, he admitted he's got a problem, that he's dealing, he admitted his faults and that he needs to fix it. I can kind of understand. But yeah, it was definitely the range of emotions in that issue.
Exactly. You felt it. You felt like Satomi in that moment. You're like, okay. But then when he goes back, you're like, okay, wait, Satomi, no, don't. Let's not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Walk away. Keep the money for yourself.
Just walk away. Yeah. No, it was a really well done issue. It was a really like nice story, and you learn about these people. Like these characters are like real now, right? Like they're fictitious, but like the way you talk about them, they're more than one dimensional, right? Like the way that they wrote addiction, it's like that's valid. Anybody, I know people in my family that have had gambling addiction or other addictions, and that's the way people are under those things, and that's how they can be.
Yeah, and that also, like, that the way Satomi reacted is also like how family members and loved ones of those people react, of like, yeah, it's infuriating and yeah, it's destroying their livelihood, but it's also a person that you care about and that you love and that you can't just walk away from, and you have to try and find a way to help. Like, you want to help as much as you can, even though they maybe have done terrible things or ruined an aspect of your life, that you still want to help. And they nailed that so well in the book, because like we just said, we went through all those emotions reading it, of being mad and angry at him and wanting her to just leave, but then understanding why she doesn't, and understanding, how she's feeling.
The cover game for Radiant Black has just been insane. Like they have
So good.
yeah, like a lot of ongoing series, especially for like indies. Obviously some of the bigger titles they have ratios, but most, like, they don't have ratio covers for every issue. Radiant Black has 3 covers for every issue, and pretty much all of them are always extremely good. So
Yeah.
we have to, yeah. I'm just talking about like Radiant Black number 7, the 125 by Tyler Kirkham. Oh man, that's gonna be a nice one with the glitch guy with the swords.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
right.
And speaking of Kyle Higgins, have you had a chance to read Ordinary Gods number 1?
I did, yeah. I was a little bit later. I didn't read it on right when it came out, but I just recently got around to it and loved it. It's such a great premise, and it's definitely like, I tried not to read too much prior, because I just wanted to kind of go in cold and not know too much about it before I started reading it. And yeah, it's such a cool concept in the way that that first issue jumps back and forth between the ordinary, no pun intended, and the more like fantastical elements, where it's, the older brother taking his sister to go get a book at the mall in one panel, and then you turn the page and it's this Tolkien-esque map of the land of the gods, and telling you the history between them, and then having the premise set up that these gods are reincarnated in the lives of normal people, really like opens the door where, I have no idea what issue 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 could be, because they could jump into, we're going to tell a story about some ancient samurai, or we're going to jump into a story about these two cavemen. Like it really opens the door for them to do anything that they want to do.
Yeah,
which is
I
awesome.
mean, I remember like tweeting out literally like I swear to God, no expectations. I was just super excited to read Ordinary Gods, just fresh off the heels. I think writing 4 or 5 at the time, so I've been really into the Higgins work recently, and I was tweeting out like, oh, I'm pumped to read Ordinary Gods, like top of my pull list when I get to the store Wednesday, and it was like a few days after he sent out that tweet asking if anyone wanted to read it in advance. So like he slipped into my DMs and sent me issue 1 and 2 of Ordinary Gods.
That's awesome.
Oh yeah, I was so happy. And let me tell you, as someone who's read Ordinary Gods #2, like, oh my God,
Nice.
it gets
That's
so
great.
crazy. Like it gets crazy. So if you like #1, trust me, you're gonna love #2, and it's probably just gonna get better and better. Knowing Higgins.
All right, Kyle, if you're listening, you're going to get a DM from me later today.
He's gonna slide it.
But yeah, I like Wyatt's
It's
point.
just so good though. Like it's funny because I'm not gonna say anything, but like it's just so good. Like let's just say like you guys nailed it. Like it's good. Like it has those elements, and we're gonna see it get wilder. Like I thought issue 1 was crazy because it starts out legit freaking crazy. Like like it's just like war, like straight up the first 2 issues, and then. Oh my God! And because we're all like thinking, we're asking the question, and I'm pretty sure it's the question on some people's minds who read #1, like to what extent are we gonna see like like these fictitious characters or whatever being explored, or gods, and you get the answer in issue 2 right away. So
That's
I love
awesome.
it. Yeah, and often when we have guests over, we like to ask them, what's a comic book series? And it could be one we talked about, but obviously, if you have something else that's even better, what's a comic book series that you would recommend people check out?
Oh, I mean, I know the ones that we've talked about already, obviously, with Higgins' work with Radiant Black and Ordinary Gods are both fantastic right now, and those are definitely, I think, the top ones that I'm constantly looking forward to. And then again, obviously, Oblivion Song and Invincible are obviously 2 of my favorites, and one of the reasons I was excited to come on the podcast too, or just that I knew that you guys were some of my people, is how much you guys have talked about Firepower as well. Like, and how many people sleep on Firepower, and how not enough people are talking about it, because it is fantastic. You guys have talked about it before, but the artwork is so great. They nail such a kind of lighthearted family dynamic as well, that's humorous and fun to read, but then also balance in this kind of epic story of like mystical things and keeping you wondering about like the dragon and all of that stuff. It's so well done, and it's the format in the way that Kirkman debuted it, with releasing that whole trade first as the prelude, just instantly hooked me in, and it was such a cool way to go from not knowing anything about this comic to I'm immediately a fan, and I'm gonna read it every single month now. Like it's fantastic.
Yeah, no, we've seriously like talked about starting a Firepower podcast like several times. Like, because like I don't understand. Like we talked about it the last like 2 or 3 episodes of this podcast, and even you'll see once this goes live, we'll have talked about it with you right here, and we'll have talked about it with Dereck and Tevin. Man, we can't stop talking about Firepower.
Yeah.
It's so good. Like I just don't get it. I like even on like Comic Book Roundup, and I've said this several times, like nobody's reviewing it. Like you look at the last like 6-7 issues, there are no reviews. Like people are really sleeping on this title, and it reminds me of Invincible when Invincible was coming out, because I wasn't reading Invincible when it came out. I read Invincible literally like January of this year. I read it all in like 4 days. Nice. So it's like I was super new to it, but I looked at print counts for when I was trying to pick up the entire series, single issues, and I looked at the print counts, and like nobody was buying Invincible. Like if Invincible came out like 2 years ago, within the last 3 years, it would have been canceled by like issue 8. It wouldn't even have made 10 issues because nobody was buying it. Like it's so low numbers. But then it went up like after people knew, but it would still never hit like nowhere near like Walking Dead numbers or like anything crazy. Yeah, so it's like I feel like Firepower is the same. Like, and it's crazy. It's like they had that free comic book day issue 1, so you think like everybody read it.
Right? Yeah.
I don't know, man. Firepower, like don't sleep on it, everyone. Pick it up. It's so good.
I like to think that in the same way that we're kind of comparing it to Invincible, that it will follow the same arc, that in like 5-10 years from now, there will either be an animated series, or there will be like, I know Kirkman has even mentioned a video game that like when Kirkman talks about Firepower, he talks about how like I think it was on the Skybound Expo that they had recently, where he even mentioned that, like, you know, there's not a lot of comics where people are throwing fireballs like in video games. And like, of all the different types of mediums that it could be adapted to, I would love to see them eventually, you know, partner with some big AAA studio and make a like full firepower like video game where you're playing through. It would be awesome.
Oh, I agree, man. Like Firepower, there's so much potential, and like even the artwork. Like I'm convinced, you know, if you just someone, you know, all three of us, we've read a lot of Kirkman work, and he loves to like talk, right? He loves to write dialogue. He likes to write a lot. But when you read Firepower, there's not a lot of writing. Like it's a lot of just artwork doing the talking, because Chris Samnee's artwork is so good. Like it's insane. It's actually like insanely good. Like it's like you could literally look at the pages and understand exactly what he wants you to understand, because it's that good.
Kirkman, I think, has always been really good at writing whatever comic he's writing for the artist that is going to be drawing it. Like I think he knew in Invincible what Ryan Ottley and Cory Walker's strengths were, and gave them, you know, things to do that he knew that they would shine at. And I think he does that in Oblivion Song with Lorenzo, and I think he does that in Firepower with Chris Samnee. Right. Like he knows that these artists will kill it at certain things, and he just perfectly tees them up for it. Like that's one of the things that I enjoy about his books, is that I know that whatever the story he is writing, he's going to make sure that he's getting some of the best art out of whoever is drawing it.
Yeah, 100%. He always gets them to create like, or it's like I guess it's a fusion. So they both always create like iconic characters. Like I think like Oblivion Song, and you think of like Dakul or whatever his name is. Like that guy is fucking badass. Dude.
Yeah.
That dude he just reminds me of like a worm Sith for some reason, because he's just like he's so annoying, man. But oh my god, he just makes these awesome characters. And you think about like the uniforms that like Nathan and Ed and like all the Oblivion people wear when they're like scouting. Yeah. And those are like iconic now for me. This just it hits like that Metal Gear Solid feel, but also with like a sci-fi alien. You know what I mean?
Totally. And that's another. I'm tooting the video game horn a lot today, but Oblivion Song made such a cool game. Like the idea of jumping back and forth between the real world and this overgrown like alien dimension type of thing would be such a cool concept.
It'd be like a Zelda game. It'd be like the Link Between Worlds or something like that. You always have the light world and the dark world and stuff like that. Yeah. Oh my god! Except like with like horror elements. Oh, we're in business.
Yep.
We need Oblivion Song merch and Firepower merch. Like straight like we need Firepower. Like I'm surprised there's nothing you could buy for Firepower on the store. There's like a few months ago they had a print or something. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. I didn't know this, by the way, guys. I had no idea. But like I'm gonna put this out there even though I don't have one, so I'm playing a risky game here. But there's the Skybound Expo, they have that Comics Vault like live thing. And for me, when I bought, because like I said, I just read Invincible recently. When I bought that Battle Beast second print, the one that you got too. Congratulations, by the way.
Yeah,
Invincible 19 bros, hell yeah. And dude, that book is awesome. I saw it, I was like, dude, I need this like right now. Sold out in legit 2 minutes. Like it was gone. Anyway, but like a few months ago, they had another Comics Vault live, and it was Firepower number 12, the issue that had like 12 variants.
Oh yeah.
It had this fucking like Dragon Ball Z looking variant, and I just found out it's like a gold foil. Like a very, oh my gosh, so nice.
I haven't seen that. Cool. I need to check after this. I'm checking that out. That sounds amazing.
There's only like 3 copies on eBay right now, dude, and it has like so many watches.
And they gave one to the elves and one to the dwarves and one to the humans. Like, jeez.
Yeah, dude, no, they're so cool. And I was just like, why didn't I see this? Because I was the guy that was on the Skybound Expo constantly asking for Firepower stuff.
Oh yeah,
like, that was me. I was like literally Firepower.
I know that was I was watching the Comics Vault live when they had that one, and that was one where I think I had already spent a lot of money on Invincible stuff for Comics Vault live, and I was like, I can't justify doing it. It looks so cool though, because it's like the whole cover is foil, like not just they do a lot of them where just like the logo's foil, but I remember when they were showing it off, the whole thing is just covered in foil, and it totally looks like a Dragon Ball Z thing with I think it's just the 2 characters on the front, both in poses shooting fireballs. It's such a cool cover.
Now that we mentioned video games now, I can't help but think that I really want to see like Image versus Capcom, so we could have like Hadouken versus fireballs and and the flaming uppercuts, the flaming Shoryukens, along with like, I mean, there's no reason Firepower can't do like Shoryukens like Ken either. So like, who knows what cool moves we could do. I want to see flame blades and more.
Totally.
Yeah,
At this point, they could just do a whole Image fighting game, and you have enough people.
that's
Yep.
what I'm saying.
Invincible and Nathan from Oblivion Song.
I swear, man, they're not utilizing it like legit. Like I swear, like you could have, because you look at the events that Image have done in the past, like Image United and all that stuff. They've done so many crossovers with like the OG Image heroes, like like the Spawns and the Savage Dragons and the Witchblades and the all the ones that they came up in the 90s, but you hardly ever see in like other than Skybound X right now, which I wouldn't consider a crossover. It's more like a celebration where they just have
it's like an anthology.
Yeah, exactly. We haven't seen like a Kirkman. We've seen like a minor Kirkman verse when you read Invincible and all the Invincible adjacent titles. Yeah, with like Brit, blah blah blah. Titles like Wolfman. But we haven't seen like Firepower crossover with like look at the fucking. You're telling me you can't do an issue of Ultra Mega crossing over with Radiant Black? Like you totally can do that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And it would work so well. It would work so well too. Like you could okay, Radiant Pink opens a portal to some other place by accident, and holy fuck, there's an Ultra Mega.
Ultra Mega already looks like Ultraman too, and we know Kyle Hagen has heavy ties to Ultraman.
That's
right.
Exactly.
So,
and it's kaiju, right? Like it's all like it falls under the Toku kind of like tree. So and he loves that shit. So it's like I don't know, like it works so well. I think Kirkman, you need to make this happen, buddy.
That's another one I should shout out that I just recently read all 4 issues of Ultra Mega, because I had seen people talking about it when it was coming out, but I've never been like a huge kaiju fan or things like that. Those stories or movies and stuff never really, struck a chord with me that much. I enjoyed them fine. Like I enjoyed Godzilla vs. Kong that just recently came out.
Yeah.
Fine. But I finally decided to pick that one up because so many people were talking about it, and it gets a lot of buzz through like Skybound X and things like that, and just tore through it in one night and just enjoyed it.
And they're fat issues too. They're big issues.
2 size issues of normal.
Yeah, I was pitching it to a friend. And I was like, it's only 4 issues, but it feels like a lot more than that. Like it feels meatier than that because they're so much bigger.
What they do with the kaiju formula, they kind of turn it on its head, which makes it like a whole different dynamic. And I really enjoyed that. I still have to read 3 and 4, but it's been getting deserved hype. People have been talking about it. It's badass.
Yeah, I haven't read 4. I just read 1, 2, 3. I have to get 4, but yeah, no, it's like it's insane. Like it's every issue is like holy shit insane. Like everything that happens is like insanity. Like it's like it's something that I definitely want to see like Daniel Warren Johnson do like a cover or like a small story for, because his artwork with like James Harren, like it would be perfect, dude, for that kind of thing. But it's so good. Yeah, like I think I understand why like every time we were watching the Expo or anytime else, like Kirkman was so hyped on talking about Ultra Mega because it is really fucking good. Like it's so good.
And I think that's what got me to finally check it out. I think Kirkman on one of the panels said that it's like the best book that's out right now, or that it's blowing his mind every time it comes out. I was like, all right, if Kirkman thinks that highly of it, I should at least check it out. And I think on the Image website, you can read the first issue for free, like when you go and look at it. So yeah, as soon as I did that, I was immediately like, all right, I need to buy these and burn through them, because
they give you a taste and then you're addicted.
Yeah, exactly. And I think one of the things that sets it apart is that with a lot of at least the movies I've seen and the kaiju stories that I've seen with things like Pacific Rim, the story is fairly, I don't mean to be negative about it, but it always seems kind of shallow. Like it's, where do these kaiju come from? They're somewhere in the ocean in a thing. Okay, well, let's go fight them now. Like, and Ultra Mega is such a, like in the same way that we talked about Kyle having like the Radiant Bible, where it seems like there's so much things that are being laid out. That's what it feels like in Ultra Mega, where there's these like, it feels very thought out in terms of the storyline and different factions and where these powers are coming from. And
it's just crazy.
Yeah, it's totally. And it's all just so over the top and cranked up to 11. Like it's such a fun read.
Yeah, like that, like this, like one example, like the scene, like I remember when I was completely like I was sold, but when I was like, oh my God, like I need to read every issue immediately sold, was like that part in issue number 1 where like the dude gets punched so hard that his blood just basically showers the entire city. And the crowd's like, I'm just like, what the fuck is this comic? And then I was sold. I was just, after that, I was like, I need to buy every issue. That was crazy. I don't know, man. They even like the little being where they show you in the first issue, like how the guy got his powers, like when he's like sleeping or whatever. And he sees that like being that's like, oh, basically you have this, you got to go do this. He's like, okay, I guess. I'm like, dude.
I keep
think
coming
Blood
back
Rain-
to how these different books sort of fill the hole that Invincible left when Invincible ended. But Ultra Mega, especially like the brutality and the blood like that you were talking about. Like I don't feel like there's a lot of comics that do that, of these fight scenes that make you sort of cringe, but you want to keep reading because you're seeing these bones breaking, you're seeing just this crazy blood happening and stuff that, feels almost a little bit gross, but it's so like violent and over the top and crazy that you just have to keep going and see what happens. It definitely feels like this book is sort of carrying that part of Invincible forward, of those crazy conquest fights, or the moments where you're sort of like you're cringing as you're reading it because it almost hurts to look at, but you want to just keep going because it's so crazy.
Yeah, I think I like those covers where Mark's face is just bruised up, and that's just like tame compared to what we see.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know Blood Rain is an easy way to bash his heart because that's how he sold me on Thanos Wins, and who doesn't love a good blood
Thanos
rain?
wins.
Yeah.
That was so dope. It's like, oh, it's raining blood. Thanos is just like, straight up like, like this is perfect. So it's like, what the fuck? No, I get Ultra Mega is 100%. It's a must pick up. Like I said, I agree. I'm with Wyatt. Like I literally personally, like I'm not even a kaiju person. Like I like Godzilla was cool when I was a kid. I didn't see Godzilla vs Kong, whatever. I know it's cool. Like I personally, not my thing, but
Yeah, sure.
Ultra Mega was like, it blew my mind. I was like, oh my god, like this is a must.
Yeah.
All right. Well, before we end here, is there anything else you would like to say?
No, not really. Thank you guys for having me on. Like, obviously, we touched on it a little bit earlier, but it's been so fun to just connect with people online who are fans of the stuff that I'm geeking out about and telling my friends and family all about over and over. So getting to talk to people about Radiant Black and to talk about other crazy comics like Ultra Mega and Firepower and stuff like that is so much fun. So yeah, thank you guys for having me on.
Oh, of course.
Give us your links. Where can people find your music?
Yeah, so my I upload new stuff to my SoundCloud every month. It's soundcloud.com/Wyatt Layne Music. My YouTube channel is the same thing, Wyatt Layne Music. And then you can follow me on Twitter at Wyatt Layne.
Sweet. And are you working on a new album now, or what are you working on?
So yeah, basically the plan for what I do for each year basically is I put out a new track on the first Friday of every month, and then in December, once I've put out all 12, I compile those into an album and try to put them in an order that kind of feels good as an album or makes some sort of sense, and then publish it onto like all the normal streaming services like Spotify and Apple Music and all of that stuff. So yeah, it should be January of next year should be the next one. And right now I have 3 albums from the last 3 years that are out on Spotify and Apple Music and iTunes and pretty much wherever you can get digital music.
Awesome.
Beautiful. We'll put your links in the episode description.
Awesome.
So
Yeah.
people have
And
access.
thank you so much. You guys have been like, obviously, even just you mentioned listening to the music before and having me on and putting those links in there and things like that. I thank you guys so much. It definitely is super awesome.
We were super
No
happy.
problem.
Like I was like, when I sent out that tweet, like asking who wanted to be on the next episode, like I honestly didn't think anyone would reply. Like I'm not kidding. And so like when we saw you reply and then we saw Dereck reply, I was like, man, we're getting like Wyatt right after. I literally just watched the newest episode where you were on the podcast. You did such an amazing job. I was like, man, I'm so excited because Wyatt's awesome. and it's funny because we like so much of the same shit, so it worked out perfectly.
Yeah, man. And that's the thing too, especially being passionate about, especially comics. Like there's not a ton of my friends that are reading a bunch of comics, not a ton of people that I can just nerd out about the stuff that I'm going crazy about and so excited about. Sometimes it's like feels like you don't have enough people to talk to about it. So anytime I get to, chat with you guys or the Invincible podcast or whoever about this kind of stuff is awesome.
Yeah,
so I was happy to answer the call.
Oh yeah, and hopefully this isn't the last time, and next time I will be next time.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
Awesome.
All right.
Well, thanks you for being on, and we'll see you guys next time.